Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. After being spotted by the vampire school beauty, I got numb. Chapter 101. Yi Wei looked at Zhou Xueming and had already thought of various possibilities in his mind. There is no big problem in telling her this secret. At the very least, he can make her forget it through hypnosis. He wanted to see Zhou Xueming's reaction even more. Is it panic, fear, collapse, withdrawal? In 400 years, this was the first time Yi Wei confessed his identity to humans. Zhou Xueming is such a good girl. From the first moment he saw her, he felt a special emotion spreading in his heart. I still remember that at the beginning, he was very concerned about Zhou Xueming's performance in the company, so much so that many of his subordinates thought that Zhou Xueming had a great background, and they were particularly in awe of this girl who had graduated from college and was just starting out. This was the first time he paid much attention to a human being. Zhou Xueming looked at Yi Wei, but thought of the famous movie, Twilight. When she first watched the movie, she felt that she would fall in love with the vampire Edward just like Bella. Yi Wei is his real Edward. After Zhou Xueming thought of this, she said firmly, "It doesn't matter, can't vampires embrace humans for the first time? If you embrace me for the first time, I will become a vampire, and I can stay with you forever." Nonsense, what are you talking about? Isn't it right to leave good human beings alone and insist on becoming a vampire? Yi Wei frowned and refused directly. You have to understand that I didn't let you embrace me because I wanted to become a vampire, but because you are a vampire, I wanted to become a vampire. The person I like is a vampire. If I want to be with him, I have to become a vampire like him, right? In Twilight, Edward also embraced Bella for the first time. You can also embrace me for the first time, and we can be together forever. Quote. Yi Wei was extremely surprised by the enthusiasm in Zhou Xueming's eyes. He thought Zhou Xueming would shrink back. After all, the vampires were so terrifying. As a human, how could she not be afraid of them? Yi Hui's mouth opened, and his fangs grew. The sharp fangs were like long thorns, which looked terrifying under the few rays of moonlight reflected outside the car window. Aren't you scared? Yi Wei said softly, his throat rolling. Don't be afraid, your fangs are very cool and handsome. Zhou Xueming shook her head. If someone else appeared in front of me like this, I would be very scared, but if it were you, I would like it very much. My love for you is far greater than my fear of the vampires. Quote. Yi Hui's expression changed, and he silently put away his fangs. She still wanted to ask Zhou Xueming to give up before the difficulties, but she persisted. Her persistence made Yi Wei hesitant. Now he has no blood master and is a free body, an independent vampire without any fetters at all. Naturally, he also has the ability to embrace humans for the first time. If he wanted to, he could turn Zhou Xueming into a vampire. It was not difficult. No matter what, there will be no good results for the vampires and humans. Yi Wei shook his head. I will hypnotize you and make you forget what happened today. Don't want. Zhou Xueming hugged Yi Wei tightly. I really like you. Can't you think about me again? Stop making trouble. I don't care, I just want to be with you. Women will never be unreasonable in this matter. Zhou Xueming has already given up her life. She is worried that when she wakes up tomorrow, she will never forget what happened tonight. Bang bang bang. The car window was suddenly knocked. You have to park your car in the parking space, don't block the road here. It was the security guard of Vincent apartment. He saw Yi Hui's car dangling and parked on the road in the community, so he came over to remind him. Yi Wei quickly responded, okay. Zhou Xueming sat back in the passenger seat with a red face. Yi Hui's car gradually moved away, and the security guard secretly sighed. Young people nowadays are really having fun, and they don't want to find a place with less people, and they dare to play with car vibrations on the road. Parking the car in the parking lot of the community, Zhou Xueming took Yi Hui's hand. She said with a pleading look, come up with me and sit down. We have come here and we have to discuss it carefully. You can't just hypnotize me and make me forget everything. I have really thought about it. If I am not with you in this life, I will not find any other man. Quote. Downstairs in Building 13 of Vincent apartment, the dim light shines on Yi Wei and Zhou Xueming. Ever since he agreed to let Zhou Xueming sit up and the two of them got out of the car, Zhou Xueming started talking about the plot of the Twilight Saga. It says that vampires' bodies will reflect bright, colorful lights under the sun. Is this true? You can't call him a vampire. Calling a vampire is like calling a person a scumbag. Yi Wei corrected him. Oh, I really don't know, I'm sorry. Zhou Shueming quickly fell silent. It doesn't matter. The world's understanding of the vampire clan is very shallow. I won't blame you, Yi Wei said. As for the colorful light you mentioned, it does not exist. In other words, it is just a fantasy about the vampire clan in literary and artistic works. That's it. Zhou Shueming nodded. The two walked into the elevator. Zhou Shueming introduced to Yi Wei. My home is on the 10th floor. I have a little Shiba Inu at home. I call him Xiaobai. He is very cute. I also have a big stuffed bear at home. I got it during the company's annual meeting last year. Yi Wei listened to Zhou Shueming's voice next to him. The voice was still as sweet as the cry of a lark. He was happy to listen to such a voice and felt very relaxed. Just hearing her voice makes me happy. Yi Hui's heart softened even more. He relented 3 times, the first time when Zhou Shueming suddenly confessed his love, the second time when Zhou Shueming begged him to go upstairs to chat, and the third time is now. As the elevator stopped at the 10th floor and the elevator door opened, Zhou Shueming finally stopped talking. You seem to talk a lot today, Yi Wei said softly. Zhou Shueming looked at Yi Wei after hearing this. I say so much because I'm afraid I won't have the chance to say it again. She held Yi Hui's hand. Cool, like a piece of jade. Come with me. As if by mistake, Yi Wei let her lead him and walked to the door of Zhou Shueming's house. It was a fingerprint lock. Zhou Shueming pressed her finger and the door was opened. As soon as Shiba Inu Xiaobai heard the sound of the door opening, he quickly ran over and rushed into Zhou Shueming's arms. Woof woof. Xiaobai stuck out his tongue, showing a happy look. After seeing Yi Wei next to it became a little wary. This is a good person, don't be nervous. Zhou Shueming rubbed Xiaobai's head and said with a smile. Xiaobai seemed to understand and nodded. Woof. Come in, Mr. Yi. Zhou Shueming walked in front and stood at the entrance of the room. Yi Wei walked in and what he saw was a small apartment with not much space. There was a bedroom inside and the rest was a public area. Zhou Shueming doesn't cook much at home, so the kitchen space is very small, and there is no gas stove, only an induction cooker. Because I am too busy at work, I have no time to cook. Although the house is small, it is very cozy. Yi Wei sat at the table, still thinking about whether to hypnotize Zhou Shueming. In fact, by now, he has been shaken. But embracing her for the first time was a big deal, and he couldn't do that easily. It would have an irreversible impact on Zhou Shueming's future life. Zhou Shueming came over. Come and drink some water, Mr. Yi. No, vampires basically don't need to drink water, Yi Wei said lightly. In this small apartment, the smell becomes particularly charming. The smell of Zhou Shueming is everywhere. With the faint fragrance, Yi Wei smelled the fragrance of Zhou Shueming's blood again. The scent is indeed very attractive, unlike most employees in the company. Zhou Shueming said, oh, and then sat over. Mr. Yi, are you ready? What to prepare? Suck my blood. Zhou Shueming blinked and said. When did I say I wanted to suck your blood? Zhou Shueming did not answer, but raised her head and approached Yi Wei. As he got closer, Yi Wei became increasingly unable to restrain his bloodthirsty impulse. Don't come over. Yi Wei stood up quickly, his eyes flashing red. Mr. Yi, I am willing to let you suck my blood. I like you and I can do everything for you. We can be happy. Why not give it a try? Zhou Shueming hugged Yi Wei, and the little Shiba Inu beside him was like a crowd eating melons, with his mouth open, watching this scene happily. I really doubt whether it can understand the scene in front of it. Yi Wei raised his hand and slowly hugged Zhou Shueming, his body trembling. He was still suppressing the bloodthirsty impulse in his heart. Looking back, I probably haven't drank enough blood for several days. In the morning, I only drank less than 100 milliliters. If I had known what was going on now, I would have drank a little more blood before, otherwise I wouldn't have had such a strong bloodthirsty impulse. The room was dark, and he was with a completely defenseless girl, and her blood was so tempting. Even the gentleman like Yi Wei can't keep his mind focused. You're right, but I still feel bad in my heart. If I hug you for the first time, I will hurt you. Zhou Shueming slowly let go of Yi Wei. That's all your idea. I think it's very good for me. Their eyes met. Yi Hui's bloodthirsty desire defeated his will. The red light in his eyes became intense, and his fangs stretched out, piercing Zhou Xueming's neck. The two fell back on the sofa. Zhou Xueming hummed and then showed a happy smile. This is a good start. Yi Wei finally accepts her. Even though it was painful, she felt very happy. Do you know any computer tycoon? There must be a lot of secrets in this notebook. I'm wondering if I can crack this computer and get some information about the Western vampires. On the way back, Su Jie picked up the black notebook in his hand and said to Lin Shiqing beside him. Let me think about it. I really don't know anyone who is particularly good at computers, but I know that Kui Xiaoxi majors in computer science. Maybe she will know some powerful computer tycoons. Su Jie nodded. I'll go to school tomorrow and ask about it then. The two of them were walking home again. For some reason, Lin Shiqing liked holding hands with Su Jie. Holding hands, 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, looking at the sky. Look at the stars, 1, 2, 3 and 4 are connected in a line. However, the light pollution in the city is too serious, and there are not many stars visible in the sky. If you are in the suburbs, you can see the stars all over the sky. That is the most beautiful starry sky. It was very late when the two of them got home. Still thinking that Yi Wei would be at home and ask them why they came home so late. But the house was empty. This surprised Su Jie and Lin Shiqing. Yi Wei is usually very punctual and goes home on time every night. What they didn't know was that Yi Wei had already sucked Zhou Xueming's blood and was in a daze on the side. Vincent apartment at this time. Zhou Xueming's upper body was nearly naked, only wearing underwear. It was Yi Wei who lost his mind and tore her top into pieces when he was in a bloodthirsty state. A look of happiness surged on her face, and she hugged Yi Wei as if she was afraid that he would run away. Because she had just finished sucking the blood, her face was a little pale. Tonight, I was impulsive, Yi Wei said apologetically. As he spoke, he couldn't help but recall the feeling just now. What really surprised him was that Zhou Xueming's blood was actually the blood of a virgin. The blood is pure and sweet, and only pure girls can have this kind of blood. At 30 years old, you are still inexperienced. This really surprised Yi Wei. It doesn't matter. I'm in good health. Being sucked blood once is nothing, Zhou Xueming said nonchalantly. Yi Wei changed his mind a little at this time. In this life, if you can find a suitable girl to stay with for the rest of your life, that would be a wonderful thing. Now that you have met love, pursue it with all your strength, and don't regret it after it slips away from your hands. You really don't care about becoming a vampire. I have to tell you that embracing me for the first time will become your blood master, which means I have absolute control over you. Your spirit will be under certain control, and you will fall into passivity. It's painful. It doesn't matter, as long as I can be with you forever, it doesn't matter. Zhou Xueming has been secretly in love with Yi Wei for 5 years. How many 5 years are there in her life? She finally saw a little hope, and she wouldn't give up. You don't understand how painful your first embrace is for you. Yi Wei has personal experience. He has been a blood servant for hundreds of years and knows very well the pain of being a blood servant. But all this depends on whether the blood lord wants to put pressure on the blood slave. If they don't exert pressure and get along with each other in a friendly manner, then the blood master's suppression of the blood servants will not cause much harm. This also means that as long as Yi Wei does not try to invade Zhou Xueming's spirit, she will not suffer much pain. As for what Yi Wei said just now, in the final analysis, he was deliberately testing Zhou Xueming. Because he didn't know whether Zhou Xueming was just on a whim or whether he really wanted to become a blood servant. Zhou Xueming hugged her tighter. You vampires don't have any rules. If you suck a human's blood, do you have to be responsible for that person? You have sucked my blood, so you should be responsible for me, and you can't default on your debt. Quote. Yi Wei sighed lightly. Let's do this, I will give you 7 days. If after 7 days, after your careful consideration, you are still willing to be embraced by me and become a blood servant, I will officially consider the matter of embracing you for the first time. These 7 days are considered your cooling off period. If you give me a negative answer after 7 days, I will hypnotize you and make you forget everything. Quote. Zhou Xueming looked happy. Really? Of course it's true. Very good. Zhou Xueming kissed Yi Wei directly on the cheek. Although the beard on Yi Hui's face was a little prickly, she was very happy with the kiss. Can I understand that in 7 days, you will be my boyfriend? Zhou Shueming smiled happily. The little Shiba Inu on the side seemed to be connected with Zhou Shueming. Feeling her heartfelt joy, it also laughed and barked twice to cheer up its owner. Yi Wei was a little confused by Zhou Shueming's sudden attack. He was a little sweet and a little speechless. Don't think so, you have to think about it carefully, you know. A person's life is long, but the most important steps are only a few steps. This choice will affect everything you do in the future, and you must consider it carefully. Quote. Zhou Shueming looked at Yi Wei, looked at his serious look, and burst into laughter. You were so serious just now, just like the scene when my father was educating me. Yi Hui's mouth twitched. In fact, in terms of age, I am your great-great-great-grandfather. I am 432 years old this year. Did you know? Okay, that's great. It is said that the older a man is, the more attractive he is. When you are here at your age, you are so charming. Yi Wei was amused by Zhou Shueming and wanted to laugh. It's always easy to talk to her. Okay, you'd better think about it carefully. I'll wait for your reply in 7 days. Yi Wei grabbed Zhou Shueming's hand, put it aside, and said softly. Then he got out of bed. You can sleep here tonight, it's so late. Zhou Shueming asked. Have you ever seen any vampire who needs to sleep all day long? Yi Wei couldn't laugh or cry. Yes, vampires are all-night owls, so they won't feel sleepy if they stay up late. Zhou Shueming suddenly realized. I'm leaving. Yi Wei packed his clothes. Seeing the torn top beside the bed, he added, I will buy you another piece of this dress when the time comes. Can you please stop leaving? Zhou Shueming hugged Yi Wei from behind. Don't leave, I want to talk to you more, okay? Feeling the hot and soft body behind him, Yi Wei hesitated for a moment. He should go back to the villa and take care of Su Jie and Lin Xiqing. But Zhou Shueming also needs him here. After all, he did suck her blood, so he should stay with her. After some deliberation, he decided to stay. But before that, let's call home first to make sure that Lin Xiqing and Su Jie are still safe. Yi Wei said softly, I understand, let's do this. I have to make a phone call. If nothing goes wrong after the phone call, I will stay here and stay with you until dawn. Good. Zhou Shueming was very happy. She had been busy all day and was a little dirty. So she said, well, I'm going to take a shower, and you can make a call. The wound on his neck has been healed by Yi Wei using blood energy, so there is no problem in taking a bath. Yi Wei nodded. You go ahead. Yi Wei walked to the balcony and called Lin Xiqing. Toot toot. Zhao King, are you and Su Jie at home? Well, we are at home, what's wrong? Lin Xiqing said with some confusion. Well, I have something to do temporarily. I spent the night outside. You guys should stay at home until I go back tomorrow night. Yi Wei said. Okay, just stay outside. It'll be okay. Su Jie and I will take care of each other, and nothing will happen. If anything happens, call me as soon as possible. We know, don't worry. After putting down the phone, Lin Xiqing looked at Su Jie aside. Uncle Yi said he won't be back tonight. I feel like Uncle Yi is in trouble. Su Jie said firmly with a thoughtful look on his face. Situation. What's the situation? Lin Xiqing was puzzled. Staying awake all night, I feel like Uncle Yi has found a girlfriend. Lin Xiqing directly denied it. How is that possible? Uncle Yi must be busy with some company matters. Based on a man's intuition, I think Uncle Yi is about to fall in love. Su Jie had an inexplicable intuition, very strong. In my opinion, it's really time for Uncle Yi to find a girl. He's already 400 years old. Lin Xiqing touched her chin and continued, I'll ask people from my clan to see if they know any beautiful girls. Blood servant, please introduce me to Uncle Yi when the time comes. Su Jie shook his head. Your thoughts are too rigid. Solidization. What do you mean? Lin Xiqing was confused. Think about it, why can't Uncle Yi find a human to marry with? Su Jie was persuasive. I'm looking for a human girl. Lin Xiqing said in surprise, is this appropriate? Why is it inappropriate? Am I not a human being? Didn't you also find me? Su Jie said clearly, look, Uncle Yi will definitely live in the city from now on, and he will also meet many people here. Maybe there is someone he likes among them. In my opinion, blind dates are the worst. You still have to fight for love by yourself. Blind dates will destroy this feeling. Quote. Lin Shiqing somewhat agreed, but she thought of a problem. But if we find a human, the girl will be extremely old by then, but Uncle Yi still looks young. What should we do? Su Jie was stunned by this question. To be honest, this problem is also the problem he and Lin Shiqing are currently facing. But Su Jie still has a way. After all, he can become a vampire. The vampire and human forms do not interfere with each other, which should mean that his upper age limit has been raised. Moreover, his attribute points can also allow him to become the strongest among humans, a transcendent. In this case, his lifespan in human form will also be extended. So Su Jie doesn't have to worry too much about lifespan. But if Uncle Yi finds a human girl, it will be a big problem. The issue of longevity must be faced. What about letting Uncle Yi embrace the human girl he likes for the first time? Su Jie couldn't help but have an idea. Lin Shiqing immediately said after hearing this, that's not good. The first embrace means that Uncle Yi will become that girl's blood master. By then, won't it be a master-servant relationship? If Do S and Do M would like this kind of relationship. But Uncle Yi is a serious man. He shouldn't like his wife to become his servant, right? But didn't you say that as long as the blood master does not exert mental pressure on the blood servant will not feel any discomfort? That's what I say, but it feels a little weird for a blood master and a blood servant to fall in love. Lin Shiqing hesitated. But this is indeed the best way. Otherwise, if another vampire gives Uncle Yi's wife his first hug, wouldn't the situation be even worse? Su Jie continued to output. Hey, I feel that our direction seems to have gone astray. All your words now are based on the fact that Uncle Yi has found a human girl as his wife, but it is still unknown what the situation is now. Your thinking is almost taking me astray. Quote. Su Jie was stunned when he heard this. Yes, their arguments are completely useless now. Uncle Yi is not looking for a human girl as his girlfriend now. Here they kept discussing what to do. What a leisure time. What's more, even if he finds it, it's Uncle Yi's own business what to do. Okay, let's stop discussing this matter first. I have to study this notebook. The contents of the unknown black laptop obtained from the 3 Western vampires must be of great help to them. Su Jie also majored in computer science. Originally, his family thought that a computer science major would be more profitable, so when he first applied for the college entrance examination, he was given a computer science degree. Programmers really make money, but they also really lose their hair. Throughout his freshman and sophomore years, Su Jie had not taken any professional courses. He had always taken public courses, such as advanced mathematics and English. So his current computer skills are not too strong. But he still understands some of the most basic programming knowledge. He also brought the laptop's charging cable over to the room where the 3 Western vampires were staying. Plug it into the socket and connect the notebook. In Lin Shiqing's room, the two of them sat in front of the table, staring at the notebook. Soon, the screen lit up. There is a password. Can't open. This is also expected. It is impossible without a password. In this day and age, is there anyone who doesn't set a password for their electronic devices to ensure information security? This operating system is not Win, but Linux. Su Jie suddenly said. Lin Shiqing on the side didn't understand. She is a novice when it comes to computers. Apart from turning on the computer and watching TV series or playing games, she doesn't know how to do anything else. What Linux? Well, it's just an operating system. Let's put it this way. This system is open source and the code can be changed by itself, which means that you can set your own needs with a high degree of personalization. Moreover, this system is more secure than Win and is also very practical. Quote. Lin Shiqing said she didn't understand. Perhaps because he felt that by explaining so much to Lin Shiqing, Su Jie said succinctly, it's just that it will be more difficult to crack this computer. It would have been better if you had said this earlier. I just said so much, but it can't compare to this sentence. Lin Shiqing was speechless. Hey, if it's Win, there are many cracking methods on the market, but a customized and highly personalized Linux system, maybe you have changed the code yourself, is really difficult to crack. Su Jie sighed. His current professional ability is too weak and he only knows some theoretical knowledge. Trying to crack this system is tantamount to wishful thinking. Soo-jae gradually felt more excited. The higher the confidentiality level of this notebook, the more important the information in it is. What is Soo-jae missing now? It must be information. Not only him, but also the entire Lin clan has no idea about the actual situation of the Western vampires. If there is relevant information in this notebook, it is simply a huge treasure found. The ancients would say that if you know yourself and the enemy, you can fight 100 battles without danger. In modern society, information is undoubtedly more critical. It's an information gap. Only when one is caught unexpectedly can one's throat be sealed with one sword. It's better to find a big boss and try to crack this computer. We can spend more money. I have a feeling that as long as this computer can be cracked, the information in it will definitely be of great help to us. Soo-jae told Lin Shiqing said. Okay, then let's go to school tomorrow. In my impression, Kui Shaoxi is not only strong in professional ability, she has also participated in many domestic computer-related competitions and knows many powerful people. Maybe we can find a breakthrough in this matter. After hearing what Lin Shiqing said, Soo-jae nodded immediately. Nowadays, that's all it can do. The sun rises from the horizon, everything revives, and the whole world becomes extremely beautiful. Workers and students walked out of their homes with sleepy eyes to start a new day of painful life. Give your own light and heat in the struggle. When Zhou Shueming woke up in Yi Hui's arms, she felt a strong body wrap around her. The vampires are a temperature-changing race. They change their body temperature as the surrounding temperature changes. For example, in hot summer, their body temperature will also rise several degrees. In the cold winter, their body temperature will also drop a few degrees. Just like what ordinary people call cold-blooded animals. From last night until now, Yi Wei has been holding Zhou Shueming, so his body has been warmed. The two bodies relied on each other, making Zhou Shueming feel a long-lost tranquility. Rays of sunlight have shone through the window and reflected into the room. Zhou Shueming realized that Yi Wei probably wouldn't like the sunshine, right? He is a vampire, and vampires generally hate such sunlight. So she slowly stood up, broke away from Yi Hui's arms, slowly stood up and walked to the side of the curtain. Then she drew the curtains tighter. The whole room suddenly became darker, and the sunlight was completely blocked. What are you doing? The sudden sound startled Zhou Shueming. She quickly turned around and saw Yi Wei opening his eyes and looking at her. There was a flashing and crystal red light in his eyes. Come on, would it be really cool to have a boyfriend with glowing eyes? Superman seems to have red eyes too, right? The eyes can also emit red ray lasers. To round things off, I have a Superman boyfriend. Zhou Shueming explained. I was worried that you would be hurt by the sun, so I closed the curtains. Vampires will be burned by the sun, but vampires will not. Yi Wei explained softly, there is a big difference between vampires and vampires. The vampires inject some of their own blood into humans without going through a strict first embrace ceremony. In this case, humans will become vampires, and the blood in their bodies will be very mixed and ignited by sunlight. After a rigorous first embrace ceremony, humans will transform into vampires. The blood in the body is relatively pure, so it will not be burned by the sun. Quote. Zhou Shueming nodded when she heard this. She couldn't help but look forward to becoming a vampire. I originally thought that I wouldn't be able to bask in the sun after becoming a vampire. Now it seems that this is not the case. Don't worry, if you want to become a vampire, I will definitely follow the process of the first embrace ceremony and turn you into a vampire, and your bloodline will be as pure as possible. Yi Wei added. As soon as these words came out, Zhou Shueming hugged Yi Wei directly. It would be great. Being held by Zhou Shueming, Yi Wei showed a smile. He didn't say the rest of the sentence. The first embrace ceremony took a huge toll on him. The first embrace ceremony is divided into 3 steps. The first step is to release all the blood from the human body so that blood can sustain its life and prevent its death. The next step is for the vampire to inject his blood into the human body bit by bit. The more input, the greater the damage to oneself, and the higher the blood purity of the blood servant will be. The third step is to wait for humans to wake up. When they wake up, it will be the day they become vampires. There is no such thing as turning humans into vampires. Just bite open the neck and inject a little of your own blood to turn it into a vampire. But when the blood of humans and vampires merge with each other, the blood will become very mixed and not pure at all, so they are destined to be shady vampires. The best state is a body without blood, watered by the blood of the vampires. This is the correct way to create a vampire. Yi Wei roughly estimated that if he really wanted to embrace Zhou Shuiming for the first time, he decided to pour 2/3 of his blood into her body. In this way, the purity of her bloodline can be maximized. On the contrary, his strength will also be severely damaged. There is no way to recover in a short period of time. It would take at least a year of cultivation before his strength could return to its original state. But it's all worth it. Zhou Shuiming's face was still a little pale, and Yi Wei realized that he had sucked nearly 500 milliliters of her blood last night, which had caused a lot of trauma to her body. He stood up and sat up in bed. "Let me take you to the hospital," Yi Wei said. "Why go to the hospital?" Zhou Shuiming was confused. "Go to the hospital for some blood transfusion. Look how pale your face is," Yi Wei said with some distress. "Ah, it's okay. I'll just take a rest at home. My health is not that bad," Zhou Shuiming said nonchalantly. "Should we go to work?" "Let's go." "Whatever you want, you don't have to go to work today," Yi Wei said. "No, you don't have to go to work until you have a complete reply." "Ah, what about my salary?" Zhou Shuiming's first reaction was that her salary might not be paid. "Look, you little money-crazy guy, it's okay. I'll just say hello to the finance department and give you a paid leave." "Ah, this is not good." On the surface, he said it was not good, but in fact, Zhou Shuiming was already happy in her heart. Yi Wei scratched her little nose. "There's nothing wrong with it. Just do one thing these days." "What?" "Think about the question I left you last night, whether you want to be embraced by me for the first time and become a vampire." Yi Hui's eyes became deep. "Well, I will definitely think about it." Zhou Shuiming nodded obediently. While Zhou Shuiming was washing up and putting on makeup, Yi Wei called the company and asked them to tell him if anything happened and he wouldn't go there today. "Please spend some time with Zhou Shuiming. Assistant Xiao Zhou has been working hard with him for 4 or 5 years, and it's time for him to take a vacation. And he sucked blood last night. Emotionally and rationally, she should be allowed to relax for a while." As for what happened next, Yi Wei hadn't thought too much yet. Just watch it step by step, there is no point in thinking too much. Zhou Shuiming puts on makeup very quickly. She is very beautiful without makeup. She doesn't need much putty or powder to be beautiful enough. Light makeup made Zhou Shuiming look better. Yi Wei took her hand, and the two of them prepared to go downstairs. "Wait a minute." Yi Wei saw Xiaobai in the corner, looking very listless. Zhou Shuiming slapped her forehead when she saw this. "I was in such a hurry that I forgot to put dog food for Xiaobai. This little Shiba Inu is very well behaved and doesn't bark even if it's hungry, for fear of disturbing its owner and Yi Wei. You are stupid, only babies who can cry will get milk. From now on, if you are hungry, just bark a few more times and I will put dog food for you. How will I know if you are hungry if you don't bark?" Zhou Shuiming educated. When Su Jie and Lin Shiqing arrived at school, Kui Shaoxi was waiting for them at the school gate. Since there was no class today, she had nothing to do. She happened to be near the school gate. Knowing that she needed to ask her something, she simply went directly to the school gate to wait. "You are here," Kui Shaoxi smiled. Today she was wearing sportswear, looking fresh and neat. "Well, you're a little sweaty. Did you just finish exercising?" Lin Shiqing asked. "Yes, I went to the gym in the morning and exercised there for more than an hour," Kui Shaoxi replied. "You are really self-disciplined," Lin Shiqing couldn't help but say. "Actually, it doesn't matter. I usually eat a lot, and I go to the gym intermittently. It's just that the club gala is coming soon. I need to at least have some physical support to dance Korean dance." "That's true," Su Jie couldn't help but agree. Every year in mid-October, it is the day of the club gala. Freshman students have already joined their favorite clubs at this time. Basically every club will put on a program, and there are also many social group building activities in the playground shed. All in all, it's just crazy. After 12 years of boring school, I naturally had to relax when I got to university. It's also time to have a vigorous love affair. By the way, there is a melon, I have to tell you. Kui Shaoxi lowered her voice and looked at Lin Shiqing. Lin Shiqing was stunned. What happened? Looking at Kui Shaoxi's mysterious appearance, Su Jie expressed curiosity. You should know Shu Ru, she dropped out of school. Kui Shaoxi continued. It seems that he was infected with AIDS. The CDC was alerted. It seemed to be a routine health check at school. I didn't expect that something like this happened in the end. After Su Jie heard the news, he didn't come back to his senses for a long time. It turned out to be this kind of ending. There is necessity in chance. Shu Ruguang found that kind of messy man and raised so many fish. It was not impossible that there would be a thunderstorm one day. His eyes were a little complicated. Lin Shiqing, who was beside him, obviously knew what AIDS was and was a little distracted. In fact, Lin Shiqing wanted to teach Shu Ru a lesson. After all, Su Jie was emotionally hurt a lot because of her before. But he didn't expect that something like this would happen before he even took action. Really, Lin Shiqing was still a little incredulous. It should be true. The classmates in Shu Ru's class have confirmed it. Kui Shaoxi said. She didn't know the relationship between Su Jie and Shu Ru, and she didn't notice anything unusual about Su Jie. Su Jie sighed inwardly, not knowing whether he was happy or sad. But she must be to blame for such a result. It's not surprising that a girl who doesn't love herself will end up like this. Kui Shaoxi just said it casually and did not continue to talk about it. Shu Ru is from the grammar department. Kui Shaoxi is not familiar with the people there, and the information she knows is limited. By the way, why didn't Exener come today? Lin Shiqing expressed doubts. She seems to be accompanying her little boyfriend. That little boyfriend seems to be in his 3rd year of high school, but he must be an adult. Kui Shaoxi suddenly became excited. This melon is also very exciting. I polished it the day before yesterday. It took a lot of hard work to pry the news out of Yi Exener's mouth. It's no wonder that when we went out a few days ago, we asked her to ask her boyfriend to come out too. She looked embarrassed. Her little boyfriend had to prepare for the college entrance examination and had to go to class every day, so there was no time to go out and play. Quote. Lin Shiqing was extremely surprised. She spread her fingers and counted. Yi Exener is a junior this year, and this little boy is a senior in high school. There is a gap of 3 years. This little girl is really capable of killing her. Haha, isn't sister-brother love popular now? Besides, Yi Exener is very young and looks more like a junior high school student. But one thing is true. If it affects the college entrance examination of other boys, that would be a bad thing. Su Jie couldn't help but nod. Yes, the college entrance examination is very important. Su Jie thought in his mind that for ordinary people, the college entrance examination is indeed very important. If your family has the ability to make money, or something else, that's a different matter. For example, in my current situation, with a rich woman and such strong strength, the college entrance examination and other matters are simply a cloud. It's okay. Since Exener told me some information, I will definitely be able to pry out more information in the future. I will definitely have to talk to her carefully then. Kui Shaoxi said seriously. In fact, in this small group, Kui Shaoxi's maturity level is definitely one of the best. She cares and takes care of the remaining girls. Under the leadership of Kui Shaoxi, Su Jie and Lin Shiqing went downstairs to the doctoral students' dormitory and found a so-called computer boss. This computer tycoon is also the senior who Kui Shaoxi admires very much. Kui Shaoxi has always been in contact with him and often asks for advice on learning issues. Let me introduce to you, this is Senior Lu Qingqi. Kui Shaoxi introduced Su Jie and Lin Shiqing with a smile on her face. Hello, I've heard Shaoxi tell you about you a long time ago. Have you brought your computer over? The senior named Lu Qingqi went straight to the topic without any hesitation. He pushed up his glasses, and his whole person had a gentle and reserved temperament. Of course I brought it here, Su Jie said quickly. The Department of Computer Science at Binhai University is one of the top in the country. To be able to get a doctoral degree from such a top university is to be regarded as one of the best. It is not an exaggeration to choose one from 1,000,000, or even one from 100,000. Therefore, Senior Lu Qingqi's technical ability is also quite online. Kui Shaoxi, a girl who advocates, would probably not be able to control it if she had the IQ of an average person. Come to my dormitory. My dormitory is actually my workstation. Lu Qingqi took the computer, looked at it for a while, and then said. Under the leadership of Lu Qingqi, the three of them went upstairs. It is worth noting that as a doctoral student at Binhai University, Lu Qingqi's dormitory conditions are also quite luxurious. There is a single room with an independent bathroom, which is full of comfort in all aspects. And there are no power rations, no power outages, and no curfews. After all, they are the top talents in the entire country, and they deserve such treatment. Although the dormitory has everything, the area must not be too large. It is not as big as a flat floor, but it is still much larger than an ordinary 8-person dormitory. It must be 50 or 60 square meters. Lu Qingqi's dormitory is quite tidy, with two main places. One is the work area, a computer, and other electronic equipment. One is the rest area, which is a bed for sleeping, and nothing else. Rather simple. Lu Qingqi was very interested in the notebook Su Jie brought. After all, cracking a Linux system is like cracking a math problem. If you can succeed, you will have a great sense of accomplishment. After plugging in the power and trying to turn it on, Lu Qingqi frowned. I'm afraid this computer is not that easy to open. Lu Qingqi shook his head. This system has done a lot of methods to prevent rash opening, and the difficulty level is very high. Kui Shaoxi quickly asked, is there no other way? No, but I have to use stupid methods to try one by one, such as the exhaustive method that is often used to crack passwords. The best way is to enter the system by cracking passwords. If you have any password clues that you can tell me about them, which will help me crack the computer faster. Quote. Su Jie thought secretly in his heart. But he really didn't even know the names of the 3 Western vampires, let alone any clues. In desperation, he said, there are no clues, you can only solve it. Okay, but it will take a long time. Lu Qingqi stopped the second half of his sentence. But what he meant was that it was definitely impossible to generate electricity purely for love. Lin Shiqing was already mentally prepared. Well, if you can open the computer, I'll give you 50,000 yuan, okay. It is impossible to let others help in vain. Lu Qingqi has also become a doctor, and he is also a human spirit. He is not like a young man who does not care about gains and losses, and simply does not care about remuneration. A PhD student does not have a formal job and needs subsidies from the school. He is also very short of money. Okay, thank you then. Lu Qingqi nodded without refusing. Say goodbye here and leave the computer to Lu Qingqi for the time being. After the computer is cracked, he will contact Su Jie. The 3 of them came down from upstairs. Su Jie and Lin Shiqing didn't stay in the school for too long and went home quickly. Time flies by, and a month has passed. Boom! There was a loud noise in the basement of the Lin family villa. Dust flew up and a burst of red light flashed. An extremely heavy steel wall was blasted into ruins. Su Jie looked at the scene in front of him with satisfaction. After being promoted to Baron, his power is really powerful. The next moment, Su Jie held up his blood wings and wandered back and forth in the spacious basement. This basement was well designed when it was first built. It is 5 to 6 meters high and has an area of 5 to 600 square meters. Although it is not too big, it is still relatively wide, much wider than a large flat floor. In the entire basement, besides Su Jie, there was Lin Shiqing standing in a corner. As for Lin Xiaohua and Lin Wen, they have returned to their clan. There are quite a lot of things going on in the clan, and Lin Xiaohua will not stay in Binhai forever. They usually go back for a week and come over for a week. Because they have a new son-in-law, they don't mind running around like this. Anyway, the vampires are full of energy, and the transportation is now very developed, so it doesn't take much time to get back and forth. Lin Shiqing saw Su Jie's wings and couldn't help but clapped her hands. Su Jie, I really didn't expect that it took you a month to reach such a state. In the past month, nothing unexpected has happened. It was very common for Lin Shiqing to suck blood and then draw a lottery. There is no news about other Western vampires. Su Jie didn't draw any more skills this month. In a total of 13 lottery opportunities, he got attribute points. Sometimes you draw a lot, which can reach 30 or 40 points, and sometimes you draw less, only 10 points. However, this accumulation has made his average attribute value exceed 500. And open the third level prize pool. The rewards in the third level prize pool will only be more powerful. Su-jae looked at the attribute values in his mind. Host, Su-jae. Power, 502. Spirit, 504. Speed, 503. Defense, 500. Skills, Time Stop, Elementary, Transformation into Vampire, Blood Devouring. The current strength can only be described in 2 words, that is, extremely explosive. Lin Xiaohua probably wouldn't be able to take advantage in front of him. Coupled with his own Time Stop skills, it is undoubtedly a more powerful help. The only thing that makes Su-jae feel a little regretful is that until now, he has not drawn the intermediate Time Stop skill. If the Time Stop skill reaches the intermediate level, it will definitely become more powerful. When the time comes, coupled with his current mental value, it can be said that even if he surpasses 4 or 5 minor levels, he will be absolutely sure of victory. The original relationship between Su-jae and Lin Xiqing was still a bit vague. But as the time they spent together and the daily interactions between them increased, they gradually became as sweet as a young couple living together. It's already November now. He has known Lin Xiqing for more than 2 months. It also took more than 2 months to obtain the system. In the past month, Su-jae has been paying close attention to whether the notebook of the Western vampire has been cracked. But in the end it didn't work out. However, as time went on, Lu Qingqi gradually found some ideas. The solution to the problem is gradually emerging. Lu Qingqi's business capabilities are still quite online. He said that it will take at most 3 or 4 days before the notebook can be cracked. And the files in it must be well preserved. Lu Qingqi specifically asked not to let him check the documents inside, but Lu Qingqi agreed. After all, Lin Xiqing paid him quite a lot. 50,000 yuan, 1 month, and he didn't let him work part-time day and night. He just used his spare time to do it, which was already a lot. Although Lin Xiqing's family was rich, they would not charge an extremely high price. After all, money can be spent, but not wasted. 2 flowers bloom, 1 on each side. Yi Wei got along well with Zhou Xueming. But when it came to mentioning first love, it still didn't happen. It's just that Yi Wei still has a grudge and hasn't thought it through yet. But during this month, Zhou Xueming thought more broadly. She had completely identified Yi Wei. There are also some rumors in the company, saying that Yi Wei and Zhou Xueming seem to be too close. But there is no need to pay attention to such rumors. Gossip is human nature and cannot be curbed. After some thought, Yi Wei extended the deadline to embrace Zhou Xueming for the first time. Zhou Xueming is only in her early 30s now, so it is more appropriate to have her for the first time. After all, it can keep the body in a younger state. After the first embrace, the body will slow down its aging process. But the aging that has already occurred is not very reversible. In other words, the younger you are when you are first embraced, the younger the vampire will maintain its appearance. Yi Wei has already decided. He picked a day, November 15th. On this day, if Zhou Xueming still agrees to let him embrace her for the first time, then he will completely turn Zhou Xueming into a vampire. November 15th is a full moon, which is of great help to the vampire's first embrace ceremony. The cold moonlight will undoubtedly be of more help to the vampires. The computer of the Western Vampire clan is about to be cracked, which gives Su-jae a good signal. Now that he has become a baron, his strength has greatly increased, and he will definitely have a chance to face the more powerful Western Vampire clan in the future. If he could find some information about the location of other Western vampires, it might be of great help to him. Find them, then use the Devourer of Blood skill to devour them. In this case, Su-jae's strength will rise faster. Originally, the West was not very peaceful, and werewolves were gradually invading the Kingdom of China. The situation in the entire world was not very clear. All in all, it's an undercurrent. The stronger the strength, the stronger the ability to protect oneself. Lin Xiaohua must not have imagined that Su-jae now has the ability to kill him instantly. But what makes Su-jae feel a little uneasy is whether the rewards of the third-level prize pool will be greatly improved. If the improvement is reduced, he will have to be much slower if he wants to break through the Viscount. After his calculations, the Baron's attribute points reached 500 at the first level, and should reach 1000 at the second level. This also means that he cannot break through to the Viscount until his attribute points reach 5000. But this is normal. After all, from low to high, it must be more difficult to improve as you go up. Su-jae was also mentally prepared. What he was not mentally prepared for was the subsequent slowdown in breaking through the realm. There is a CD for the number of draws. It is impossible for Lin Shiqing to suck blood all the time. She will suffer from indigestion if she does not stop. Therefore, what can really help him improve his realm is to rely on the skill of blood swallowing. Su-jae finally thought about it and realized that there was no need to rush this matter. It is enough to be able to protect yourself and those around you for the time being. There is another more important question. He saw that his defense attribute had reached 500. If this were the case, would Lin Shiqing be unable to break through his defenses and thus unable to suck blood? But after trying it, as he thought before, there is no situation where he cannot suck blood. As long as Su-jae relaxes his muscles, Lin Shiqing can easily suck blood. In this month, Su-jae still hasn't officially kissed Lin Shiqing on the lips. Lin Shiqing felt that she should take it slow and accumulate more daily feelings. She wanted to take it step by step. Su-jae believed that this should be the case, and he was not in a hurry. Foreplay is also very important. Now that he and Lin Shiqing were completely bound together, there was no need to worry about either of them changing their minds. Su-jae gradually realized a problem, that is, his blood actually had the effect of stimulating love. This is why Lin Shiqing's affection for Su-jae doubled. Lin Shiqing was not surprised by this. She had already seen in some family records that the higher the quality of blood, the more obsessed the vampires would be, and they would also have a strong feeling for the person who provided the blood. Good impression. This kind of favorable impression is very rare. The blood of ordinary people will never make a vampire feel attracted to it, only if the quality of the blood reaches a certain level. Su-jae thought that his current ability had actually reached the second realm of extraordinary beings, the potential lock stage. Then he is equivalent to a second-level transcendent. For such a powerful being, the blood quality will definitely be relatively high. Lin Shiqing has made considerable progress in the past month by sucking Su-jae's blood. She is now the last vampire of the 8th level. Although she is not as good as Su-jae, her strength can be said to be unprecedented. Moreover, the purity of her bloodline has also been further improved, and she is almost touching the threshold of the 11th generation vampire. When the purity of her blood becomes higher, she will be able to improve a lot just by practicing on her own. Su-jae's current bloodline purity is almost equivalent to that of the 12th generation vampire. This was pretty good as he had expected. Breaking through to a big realm would also be very beneficial to him. The blood purity will also increase accordingly. I originally thought that Lin Shiqing would be stronger than him for a while, but in the end, it seemed that his strength increased more by relying on the system. In Su-jae's view, the system is just a weapon or a tool for him to use. He is different from other people who may have a feeling of worshipping the system. In his opinion, the system is not a secret that cannot be kept secret. To tell the people closest to you, you don't have to tell lies one after another to deceive. A very relaxing thing. And it will be more sincere. When Su-jae first obtained this system, he had an intuition that his system was not his alone. But from the beginning, the system has been bound to Lin Shiqing. The only specific task is to be sucked by Lin Shiqing. This already explains a lot. After taking a breath, Su-jae and Lin Shiqing slowly walked to the entrance of the basement and prepared to go up. Lin Xiaohua and his wife have not been seen in the past 2 days, and Yi Wei does not come back to the huge villa very often. This has become Su-jae and Lin Shiqing's comfort zone. The two of them are very innocent, they lie together every night, sometimes holding hands, sometimes hugging each other. At the beginning, Su-jae preferred to sleep with Lin Shiqing in human form, because under the influence of his body temperature, Lin Shiqing's body temperature also increased, and their bodies gradually became warmer. After learning that Su-jae liked a warmer body, Lin Shiqing had a solution. Burn the blood energy in your body to maintain your body temperature at normal human body temperature. Maintaining this temperature does not consume a lot of energy. Even if it stays overnight, it will consume at most 1/4 or 1/5 of the blood energy. Su Jie liked a warm body, and Lin Shiqing obeyed her. In fact, she also understood in her heart that she also had a strong dependence on a warm embrace. Maybe this was what he had been missing. On the sofa, Su Jie and Lin Shiqing were cuddling together. A variety show was playing on the TV opposite. Several popular celebrities performed some awkward and forced funny behaviors according to the script. It was okay to pass the time by watching it, but maybe it would be better to watch it without thinking. Very happy. Now Su Jie and Lin Shiqing have a sense of déjà vu as an old couple. The two of them don't need to worry about anything, such as money. There is no shortage of money at all. With the blessing of the system, their strength can be increased as long as they complete the task by sucking blood on time. It is reasonable for them to show off and enjoy each other's tenderness. Uncle Yi said he had something important to tell us tonight. What would it be? Lin Shiqing asked while putting the sweet-scented osmanthus cake in her mouth. I feel like it should be something more important. If it wasn't, his face wouldn't be so serious. In the morning, Yi Wei told them very seriously that he had something very important to say when he came back in the evening. Lin Shiqing's parents already know about this matter, and they need to be told about it now. I'm wondering if Uncle Yi has already found a partner, so he needs to be introduced. Su Jie guessed. I don't think so. It's only been a month, so we can't be sure so soon, right? You don't understand. These days, it's not unusual for someone to get a certificate just after they've known each other for a few days. Su Jie waved his hand. After all, the pace is very fast these days. Really? Lin Shiqing shook her head and said thoughtfully. Do you know how I felt when you invited me to your home after knowing me for 3 days? Su Jie became interested and asked. How would it feel? Lin Shiqing was confused. What I was thinking at that time was whether I could do something embarrassing with you that night. Su Jie said without hesitation. TCH, am I such an unreserved person? At the very least, I have to test you to see if you are worthy of my trust for the rest of my life before I can give my body to you. A blush appeared on Lin Shiqing's face and she said with some embarrassment. It was normal for the two of them to talk about this matter. In the past month, Su Jie also shared a lot of his physiological knowledge with Lin Shiqing. But what he didn't expect was that Lin Shiqing actually knew more than him. It's just that she has never practiced it. But this is normal. In terms of human age, Lin Shiqing is only 18 years old, which is just right for her youth. But according to the time she actually lived, she is already 180 years old. Although a large part of the 180 years was spent sleeping without any exposure to knowledge. But in 180 years, it was still much longer than Su Jie's time to be exposed to all kinds of knowledge. So it's normal to know a little more than Su Jie. Moreover, Lin Xiaohua and his wife were also open-minded and did not shy away from those matters. Instead, they had already given Lin Shiqing a lot of science knowledge. When Yi Wei came back, it was already past 7 o'clock in the evening. By this time, the sun had already set. Located north of the Tropic of Cancer, after entering November, the day length gradually decreases, and the stars at this time have quietly risen into the night sky. The Yi family villa is located relatively close to the suburbs, so the surrounding environment is still very good, and you can see more stars in the sky at night. Standing in the atrium of the house, preparing to greet Yi Wei, Lin Shiqing and Su Jie saw an unexpected person next to Yi Wei. Zhou Shueming. She thought it was something related to work, but Lin Shiqing quietly patted Su Jie's shoulder, stood on tiptoes, leaned into his ear and said, "Look, Uncle Yi is holding the assistant's hand." Su Jie hadn't noticed it just now, but as soon as Lin Shiqing reminded him, he reacted immediately. Yi Hui's hand was holding Zhou Shueming's hand, and there was a lot of affection between the two. That's why he didn't think too much about it just now, so he didn't notice it. Yi Wei knew that Su Jie and Lin Shiqing had met Zhou Shueming before, so he did not introduce her at length, but said lightly, "This is Zhou Shueming, my girlfriend." Zhou Shueming's face was fair and smooth. Although she was in her 30s, she showed no signs of aging at all. She smiled, revealing the shallow dimples on her face. With a blushing face, Zhou Shueming said, "Hello, we are not strangers, right? We have met before. I've seen it before, Assistant Zhou. When something happened at the Shilin Villa, I asked you to ask me for help. Lin Shiqing smiled, a little surprised by the scene in front of her, but still said hello to her first. Su Jie also nodded. Assistant Joe, long time no see, I didn't expect. Yi Wei saw the surprise in Su Jie and Lin Shiqing's eyes, and he gave a gentle smile. This smile is no longer the formulaic smile before, but has become so touching that it makes people feel like a spring breeze at the first sight, and contains his true emotions. After looking at Zhou Shuiming next to him, Yi Wei said, "Go and talk to the house." The head of the house and his wife also know about Zhou Shuiming's existence, and they have already agreed. 2 days ago, Yi Wei told Lin Xiaohua and his wife about Zhou Shuiming while they were still there. Over the past month, many things have become clear. Yi Wei and Zhou Shuiming got along well and were very pleasantly surprised. Because Zhou Shuiming was exactly the same as his ideal girl in every aspect. Especially Zhou Shuiming's dedicated heart made Yi Wei feel at ease for a while. He just wanted to find a girl to stay with for the rest of his life, not a playful girl like Bai Ying. Everyone has their own ideas. It is understandable that Bai Ying likes to hook up with other outstanding men for fun. If Yi Wei is also interested in hooking up with girls, then he and Bai Ying would be a good match. Bai Ying is more suitable for the kind of man who likes to have fun, and she doesn't match him. Find an honest person to take over. That doesn't exist. What's more, in a practical sense, Yi Wei is not an honest person in the true sense. He also has the ability to manage a company with assets worth billions. Without any strength, he will definitely not be able to hold his position. Lin Xiaohua and his wife were a little surprised at Zhou Shuiming at first, but when they heard that Yi Wei wanted to embrace her for the first time, they looked very shocked. After a long time, Lin Xiaohua finally spoke and asked Yi Wei to think about it carefully. This was a matter for the rest of his life and deserved careful consideration. As long as Yi Wei thinks it's okay, then he has no objection. And during the first embrace, he would help him maintain Zhou Shuiming's vitality and run Sasuke's entire first embrace ceremony. After receiving the approval of Lin Xiaohua, the head of the family, Yi Wei felt a heavy stone fall in his heart. Originally, he was trapped in the prison of his tribe and would be executed soon. In the end, Lin Xiaohua rescued him despite all the opinions. This life is equivalent to the life saved by Lin Xiaohua. Yi Wei was particularly grateful to him, and at the same time, he would seek his opinion on important matters. He could finally let it go. When the four of them walked into the house, Zhou Shuiming was still a little embarrassed. This was her first love. It's funny to say that when she was in college, many male classmates pursued her, but at that time she was only thinking about her future life plans and had no plans to fall in love. After work, her time was very tight and she couldn't even meet new people, let alone fall in love. Yi Wei was her first love and her first crush. She was surprised and happy to be able to finally succeed in cultivation. Lin Shiqing and Su Zigong learned a shocking news after just a few words with Yi Wei and Zhou Shuiming. There's something I have to tell you. By November 15th, if nothing else happens, I will have Xiaoming Chu in my arms. Quote. Su Jie and Lin Shiqing's eyes widened. They were false first embraces. Su Jie was not truly converted into a vampire by the first embrace, but the change occurred through the power of the system. But Zhou Shuiming is different. Embrace for the first time is really a serious and rigorous thing. It seems that Yi Wei is serious about it. Lin Shiqing pursed her lips and asked, Uncle Yi, have you thought about this matter? I have already thought about it. Now that Xiaoming is still young, embracing her for the first time will help her appearance and body stay in a more youthful state. Of course, I will still respect her decision. Quote. After finishing speaking, Yi Wei turned to look at Zhou Shuiming with gentle eyes. Zhou Shuiming took Yi Hui's hand and said softly, I'm definitely willing. I've already been ready. In the past month, the two of them have slept in the same bed many times, hugging each other and cherishing every minute and second of each other's presence. Yi Wei really didn't know who else he could find in this life if he didn't have Zhou Shuiming. Maybe I will be single for the next few hundred years. When you are single, you often feel that being alone is fine, and it doesn't matter if you have a partner, it is not interesting. But when you see others in pairs and the love lasts, envy is inevitable. So I persuaded myself in my heart, if I find a partner, isn't it just one more trouble? It's very tiring to chat with her, make her happy, and spend time maintaining their relationship. What's more, if that person is not the one you like in your heart, it will be even more sad. But when you really meet the person who is willing to stay with you for the rest of your life, your thoughts will completely change. Chatting with her, paying for her, spending day after day with her, that is already the happiest thing. How could you feel bored? Only if you don't like that person will you feel tired. Yi Wei could sit quietly in the office with Zhou Shueming every day and work together. When he was tired, he only needed to look at her and his mood would instantly settle down. As for Zhou Shueming, she also enjoyed the quiet beauty. The company had a lot of affairs, and Zhou Shueming often had to work overtime, so Yi Wei would accompany her. In order to prevent the two of them from spending less time together due to work, Yi Wei also distributed a lot of work to other subordinates. The biggest dilemma between the two is the identity difference between vampires and humans. When the first embrace is over, all barriers will disappear. Two people can even give birth to a small vampire baby. But there is one more thing to consider. Yi Wei himself is a blood servant, and his bloodline is not of high purity. As for Zhou Shueming, whom he embraced for the first time, her bloodline purity would only be lower. Yi Hui's bloodline purity is equivalent to the 13th generation of bloodline, and Zhou Shueming's is equivalent to the 14th generation. The blood purity of the bloodline babies they gave birth to would not be at the 15th generation, but should be at the 14th generation. With the reconciliation of Yi Hui's bloodline, the purity of the bloodline should be relatively top-notch among the 14th generation. The upper limit of strength in the future will not be very high, at most it will look like the last generation of vampires at the 7th or 8th level. But having a lifespan of 1,000 years is enough. In the turbulent situation that followed, Yi Hui's ability to protect himself was not very strong. But with Su Jie here, he can still ensure the safety of Yi Wei and Zhou Shueming. Su Jie still remembers how Yi Wei wanted to let Lin Shiqing escape when he was sleeping. Yi Wei is a good person and treats Su Jie well. In times of crisis, Su Jie will definitely lend a helping hand. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little heavy, Su Jie smiled and said loudly, "Butler Yi, congratulations to you, I wish you a smooth first embrace ceremony on the 15th. Thank you. With the head of the family beside you, there will definitely be no accidents during the first embrace ceremony," Yi Wei said with a smile. Zhou Shueming will live in the villa from this day on. She needs to do some recuperation in the past few days to face the first embrace ceremony on the 15th. Yi Wei also helped her take a month's leave in one go. The Ministry of Manpower was particularly surprised, and many rumors spread like wildfire, but Yi Wei no longer cared. The work was also shared among his subordinates. This month, no more work will be handed over to Zhou Shueming. Many female employees in the company lamented, thinking that if they had woken up earlier and became Yi Hui's assistant, maybe they would be the president's wife now. Chapter 111. Zhou Shueming was reserved at first, but as Lin Shiqing took the initiative to greet her and started chatting, she gradually relaxed a lot. When Zhou Shueming was an assistant, she always wore office attire. A hip-covering skirt and a white shirt were considered a regular match. Today, she was wearing a pure white dress with a platinum necklace around her neck. Her whole person was gentle and charming, and her temperament had improved. Big change. She has long hair that is longer than her shoulders, beautiful eyes, and light red lipstick on her thin lips, which is very fresh. Yi Wei liked Zhou Shueming's eyes the most. Those almond-shaped eyes seemed to be able to speak, and in the blink of an eye, they had captured his heart. If he hadn't had further contact with her, Yi Wei would never have expected that Zhou Shueming next to him would be so beautiful. Maybe there's a reason for adding a filter, it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Zhou Shueming's appearance is not bad, she is also well maintained, and she looks young. Lin Shiqing is sitting next to her, and there is no strong sense of disobedience. It is not an exaggeration to call them sisters. Yi Wei was immersed in love. He held Zhou Shueming's hand and walked around the villa, introducing her to the daily life of the vampire clan. Look, this is refrigerated blood. Generally, blood must be refrigerated and stored after processing, otherwise it will deteriorate within a few days. Yi Wei was holding a transparent glass pot with clear blood in it. There's a smell of blood, and there seems to be an obscure medicinal smell. Zhou Shueming asked after smelling it. Yes, it has been treated with some herbs, which can make the blood last longer and increase the quality of the blood. Yi Wei introduced softly. That's it, Zhou Shueming suddenly realized. Don't you feel a little regretful that you won't be able to eat human food after your first embrace? Yi Wei asked. That does have some influence. I still have a lot of delicacies that I want to eat. Zhou Shueming puffed up her face and thought, but compared with what you want, those delicacies are nothing. It doesn't matter. Yi Wei smiled and said, although I say that, in your last few days as a human being, I will still take you to eat the food you want to eat most. Be sure to eat everything you want and don't leave any regrets. Quote. I will. Zhou Shueming nodded. Look at this again. Yi Wei began to introduce other vampire vessels to Zhou Shueming. In the living room not far away, Lin Shiqing curled her lips up as she watched them bonding together. Looking at Uncle Yi's sweet look, it's really unprecedented. Isn't this normal? I must be very happy to have found my true love. Su Jie said with a smile. Lin Xiaohua and his wife will not come back until tomorrow and will meet Zhou Shueming then. Yi Wei packed up a room for Zhou Shueming. There was everything here and she didn't need to carry any luggage. From today until November 15th, he will nourish Zhou Shueming with blood energy every day. In this way, Zhou Shueming will experience less pain during the first embracing ceremony, and her body will also reduce its rejection reaction. That night, Su Jie and Lin Shiqing returned to their rooms. In the corner, Xiaofen crawled out. Visible to the naked eye, Xiaofen's body has been refined a lot. The body has become much smaller, but the fluctuations have become more powerful. Su Jie has been feeding this little guy with his own blood for some time. Such an operation would need to go back 3 weeks. That day, the poisonous insects that Xiaofen often ate were gone, but it still needed energy. After thinking about it, Su Jie tried to feed it with his own blood. Unexpectedly, Xiaofen changed her eating habits since then. He became more and more obsessed with Su Jie's blood. The bloodthirsty spider, maybe sucking blood is the way to help it become stronger. In addition, Su Jie's own blood quality is very high, so it is normal for Xiaofen to have such an improvement. According to Lin Shiqing, the pattern on Xiaofen's back represents its strength. Now there are 7 incomplete patterns on its back, which means that its strength has reached the 7th level of the first form. It is equivalent to the level of the last vampire of the 7th level. This also means that Su Jie now has 2 helpers, one at the 8th level and one at the 7th level. In addition, he is a baron himself. Such a powerful fighting force can no longer face the Western vampires below the 3rd level of the baron. Another question. Above the 3rd level, you can also touch it a little by relying on time stop. But if it exceeds the 6th level, I'm afraid it won't be very good. There is also a limit to cross-level combat. Xiaofen has a very advantageous point. Its body is small, and it can inadvertently deliver a fatal blow to the enemy, which can have a huge impact on the battle situation by surprise. The moonlight fell along the window. Su Jie was currently in a vampire state. His eyes were red, his body was cold, and his blood was stagnant. Since becoming a baron, he found that his eyes were redder and there was a layer of cold air attached to his body. The cold air made Lin Shiqing a little afraid. This made him realize that he had also been born with the aura he had after breaking through a great realm. Except for Lin Shiqing, no one else knows about the breakthrough baron. In order to feed Xiaofen with blood, he turned into a human form. The blood also began to flow. Su Jie stretched out his right hand. The slender fingers had clear joints, and his white skin was full of strength. Turning the palm over, a small knife appeared on it. The size is similar to a nail clipper and the blade is very sharp. There was a flash of white light, and the knife broke Su Jie's wrist. What was cut was a vein, and the blood flowed out not very fast. Seeing the bright red blood flowing down the arm, Xiaofen became extremely excited. It was bathed in blood and its body glowed with a pink glow. It was dancing and flexing and extending its 8 long legs covered with red down, showing a jumping posture. Lin Shiqing smelled the scent of blood and narrowed her eyes slightly. Her keen sense of smell allowed her to smell the smell particularly clearly. Even though she had smelled it countless times, she didn't feel bored at all. The smell of Su Jie's blood was very light, and the specific taste was difficult to describe. Lin Shiqing's pink nose wrinkled slightly and her lips moved, trying to experience the smell as much as possible. If I had to describe it, it seems to have a fragrance similar to mint, but the smell of mint is not pungent, just a light smell, which can relieve physical and mental fatigue. Lin Shiqing still had hundreds of milliliters of undigested blood in her belly. She was very greedy, but she still held it back. Once she consumes more blood than she can bear, the blood in her body will become uneven, causing tearing pain and the adjustment of sleeping for several days. Su Jie's blood will dry up quickly after leaving the body as in the previous experiment. This time period is only about 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, the effectiveness of his blood will drop significantly. It is roughly equivalent to the previous 20–30% effectiveness. Seeing the little fans feasting and bathing in blood, Su Jie was considering one thing, which was to feed his blood to Lin Xiaohua, his wife and Yi Wei. These people are his more important people at the moment. If they are stronger, Su Jie will feel more at ease. Especially Yi Wei, his strength is indeed too weak. They are still in the 5th level and are the last vampires. If they encounter some slightly stronger Western vampires, they have no capital to resist. Su Jie calculated that after his blood left his body, it would decay to 20–30% of its original effectiveness in 5 seconds, and its effectiveness would gradually stabilize after that. Now that he is a baron, even though he is only 20–30% effective, it is still a great tonic for other vampires. After letting Xiaofen suck for about 5 minutes, Su Jie patted Lin Shiqing on the side and asked her to stop the wound. Xiaofen is full. It happily sucks all the blood into its small body and turns it into energy in an instant. It has 2 cavities. The smaller circular cavity under the head contains some internal organs, and the larger circular cavity connected behind it is like a hump, which can store excess energy. Energy can help him evolve gradually, and can also be used as a means of attack. After evolving to the 7th level of strength, Xiaofen's IQ seems to have increased to a certain extent. Although it couldn't speak, it could still quickly understand what Lin Shiqing said. Lin Shiqing's blood energy quickly healed Su Jie's wounds. Xiaofen crawled back to his nest obediently, leaving a pool of dark red blood on the original ground. Su Jie casually swept it with a mop, and the ground was as clean as new. Lin Shiqing's gaze shifted to Xiaofen's back, and she said in surprise, "Xiaofen's 8th residual pattern has already condensed, and it won't be long before it reaches the 8th level." In the family, the most powerful bloodthirsty spider was only the 2nd level and 3rd level, and there is no one above it. I really look forward to how far Xiaofen can evolve with the help of your blood. Quote. Su Jie followed Lin Shiqing's gaze and found that Xiaofen was indeed what she said. There was an extra pattern on her back, and she vaguely revealed blood. I'm really looking forward to it. Will the plan of you and me, plus Xiaofen, to clean up the blood clan in the West be much smoother in the future? A smile formed on Su Jie's lips. Perhaps because the Chinese nation's history of humiliation in the previous centuries was engraved in his mind, Su Jie was even more resentful of the Western vampires' current aggressive behavior. Even if the battle between blood clans is not a war in the secular world, with guns and cannons, it also involves the national destiny of a country and countless government and population factors. The game between the weak and the strong is more appropriate to describe the game between the vampires. Su Jie often thought that although the vampires were spread from the west to the east, the ancestors of the eastern vampires could be traced back to the beginning, and they would also be Westerners. It was the first generation of vampires in the west who assimilated many Easterners through their first embrace. Only then did the Eastern blood clan enter the stage of history. The Western vampires have the upper hand and their bloodline is purer, but this does not mean that they should be superior to the Eastern vampires. The Eastern vampires, who have been bullied for hundreds of years, should also stand up. Now, he has a certain strength, enough to change some things. The opportunity came quickly. Early the next morning, the Western Vampire Notebook, which I originally thought would take several days to crack, was suddenly told that it had entered the system and the password had been unlocked. When Lu Qingqi told Su Jie the news, it could be described as ecstatic. It took a month to finally crack it. It's not easy. Lu Qingqi's voice was a little excited. When are you free to come over? Take the notebook away. Just a moment, we'll go there right away. Su Jie said repeatedly. Putting down their mobile phones, Su Jie and Lin Shiqing couldn't wait to drive to Binhai University. Su Jie, you have to promise me something. In the car, Lin Shiqing said a little seriously. Su Jie was stunned for a moment, and then asked, what's going on? He felt a little surprised. We must be careful. You can't just go to those Western vampires who don't know the details. If they are too powerful and we can't resist them, it will be a bad thing. Lin Shiqing said slowly. I thought it was something. Su Jie smiled. I must have thought about what you said. If I wasn't sure, how could I go? Moreover, the information in the notebook is still unknown. Maybe there is no location information about other Western vampires in it. Quote. Lin Shiqing flattened her lips. You know, I'm very happy to be with you. We can't take risks and ignore our own safety just because we swallow a little blood essence. There are thousands of roads, safety comes first. Su Jie nodded in agreement. Entering November, the temperature dropped quickly. Su Jie and Lin Shiqing were still wearing t-shirts, which attracted the attention of many students. Even in human form, Su Jie's body is still not afraid of the cold. He is like a small stove, filled with endless energy. Following the direction Kui Shaoxi led the way last time, the two quickly found Lu Qingqi's dormitory. Standing downstairs in the dormitory, he thought about it for a moment, and Lu Qingqi's dormitory number appeared in his mind. His current memory is very exaggerated, and he has no problem with photographic memory. As long as he sees it once, even if it is several months later, as long as he consciously searches for it in his mind, he can quickly find the memory fragments and cover them in mind. Lu Qingqi was typing codes at the table when he suddenly heard movement at the door. He looked sideways and stood up to open the door. Next to the table, there was the dark notebook. Although it had been cracked, Lu Qingqi had not read the contents, he was still very professional. Unlike the computer repairman that Edison Chen found back then, even though he was a little curious about the customer's data, he was rational and would not do anything to pry into the customer's data. After opening the door, Su Jie said hello, and was then brought to the table by Lu Qingqi with a smile on his face. The password has been cracked and reset by me. The current password is QWE 147258. Why is the setting so complicated? Su Jie asked. This password is mandatory to require uppercase and lowercase letters plus numbers and symbols, perhaps for a higher security factor. Lu Qingqi's lips curled up slightly. Although the password security is relatively high, I still found a loophole. I finally bypassed the password directly and gained the highest authority of this computer. After coming out of Lu Qingqi's dormitory, Su Jie and Lin Shiqing were going to find a place to look at the contents of the notebook. The school was still too far from home, so the two of them did not choose to go home. Instead, they came to the express hotel next to the school and prepared to look at the files on the computer in the hotel. The hotel is quiet, has power supply, and is quite private. Of course, it is not ruled out that there will be pinhole cameras filming secretly, but overall, it should be fairly safe. After all, he didn't do anything unspeakable with Lin Shiqing in the hotel. The Jason Hotel is right next door to the school and is nicknamed the gun room by many students. It was morning, and many couples who stayed overnight were walking out, including some familiar faces. It is the best sport for young lovers to express their love, and they enjoy it endlessly. Although boys are more enthusiastic about this aspect, it does not mean that girls will not think about it. Since we are human beings, we will have desires. Some girls have no less desires than boys. This is also a true portrayal of many girls who are called "bus" by people behind their backs. With a pure heart, Su Jie and Lin Shiqing walked into the courtyard. Not many people came to stay at the Express Hotel in the morning. The girl at the front desk who was about to finish her night shift was yawning all day long, waiting for the person who was working the day shift to take over so that she could go home and have a good night's sleep. Hello, I want to open an hourly room, Su Jie said. Using his ID card, he booked the highest standard hourly room at the Jason Hotel, 300 yuan for 2 hours. If the 2 hours are up, you can continue. Just like the renewal system of internet cafes. When the lady at the front desk saw the combination of Lin Shiqing and Su Jie, half of her sleepiness disappeared. Handsome men and beautiful women, everyone will look at them twice. After completing the check-in procedure, she looked at the backs of Su Jie and Lin Shiqing and thought to herself. My mind couldn't help but think of what would happen to them next. Yesterday, she and her boyfriend had a very passionate relationship, which made her feel refreshed. Now his face is somewhat flushed and he has his legs crossed. It is a pity that Sujay and Lin Shiqing cannot read minds and cannot understand the rich inner activities of the front desk lady. They walked onto the elevator and went upstairs without any distractions. The room card was inserted at the door of 509, and the two of them walked in. Neatly furnished, it seemed that someone had just left in the morning, and there was a faint smell of shower gel mixed with shampoo. Opposite the big bed is a table. There are many sockets on the wall next to the table. Sujay's eyes gradually became sharp. A flash of blood suddenly appeared. Vampire vision is turned on. Everything became crystal clear. There are rumors that the Jason Hotel has many miniature cameras that will film in secret. Many candid shots in domestic areas are produced in this way. Sujay was very cautious. He didn't want to be exposed to these miniature cameras. It really does. A hole in the corner, disguised as a socket, shimmered with a faint emerald green. If you just look at it with the naked eye, you really can't see it. Sujay swung a thin needle that could condense blood and destroyed it. What kind of identity do you want to secretly photograph him? In the security room, a security guard sat up in shock. My camera. Why was it suddenly destroyed? I only saw a red light coming, and there was no image anymore. After scanning around again, Sujay found no other pinhole cameras. Thinking about it, this can be regarded as killing harm for the people. Those who secretly record such videos are not good birds. Sujay plugged in the charger and opened the laptop. Lin Shiqing took 2 chairs from the side and they sat down next to each other. Sujay looked at the documents on his notebook seriously. A very simple desktop with a pure black wallpaper. There are several icons in the upper left corner of the desktop. One piece of software quickly caught his attention. The icon of the software is a crow and is named Communication. Communication. Sujay, whose English level is above CET 6, literally translated the words into Chinese. Is this a communication software? Lin Shiqing on the side also looked curiously. If it's communication software, it's a bit bad. It also requires an account and password. This thing is not easy to crack. Sujay frowned lightly. Why don't you see if you can remember passwords, log in automatically, etc.? Lin Shiqing thought at the side. Sujay squinted his eyes and double-clicked the icon. A huge crow suddenly appeared on the screen. In the form of a GIF, it flutters its wings dynamically, and its sharp beak seems to pierce the 2 people in front of the screen. In the eyes, there is scarlet blood. The crow, it would be more appropriate to call it the blood crow. It put on a domineering posture and raised its head. Next to blood crow, the login option popped up. There is good news. There is an account. There's bad news. The password needs to be filled in. Sujay held his forehead. He was really drunk. Sure enough, things didn't go as smoothly as he imagined. Lin Shiqing, who was on the side, noticed that Sujay was a little helpless, and she was a little nervous. She comforted. It's okay, aren't there a lot of folders? Go take a look inside those folders, maybe you can find some clues. A glimmer of hope emerged in Sujay's eyes. Take himself for example. Because he is worried about forgetting his password, he often stores his password in his memo. Files on your computer may have relevant information. After flipping through the files, Sujay accidentally saw a TXT file. His eyes lit up. He actually found the communication password. I don't know what the Western vampire's psychology was, maybe he was worried that he would forget the password, so he created this TXT file. He found it a bit unbelievable at first. The vampire's memory itself is very powerful, and they should not forget the password. But after opening the file, he understood instantly. DSFJDSOIFJDIOSGHDF. A 512-bit garbled key, this is the password. Is it for greater security? But such a long password. Who can remember? Hey. Although the vampires have excellent memories, it still takes a lot of hard work to remember such a long garbled key. In order to avoid having to type it by hand every time, the Western vampires created a TXT file for the password, and just copy and paste it every time they log in. Whoever created this password is truly a genius. You can't say for sure, this password may also be randomly generated by this software. He copied and pasted the password into it, and within a few seconds, a pop-up box appeared. Stealth or online? Single quote. Stealth or online mode? After a little thought, Sujay chose the former. There are also a lot of cached chat contents in the communication software. There is one chat partner, master, and a group chat, home. Elementary school students should all know the Chinese meaning of the latter. As for the former, master, it should mean master. Su Jie thought of the Lord among the three bodies. Could it be that this is also a story about aliens invading Blue Star? It should be impossible. This existence named Lord should be a high-level existence among the Western vampires. Frowning, he felt that the only communication partner should be a very special person. The last communication was more than a month ago. It was the time when he killed those 3 Western vampires. Lord, when will you send someone to meet us? It will come, just wait a moment. I've been waiting for a week, how long do I have to wait? Our condition is very bad, and if the superhumans find us, we will definitely die. We are really in trouble, Lord, please send someone to rescue us, please. Quote. Except for the second sentence, which is the news about the Lord, the rest are all about Western vampires. Cold-blooded, ruthless, and without the slightest hesitation, he abandoned those 3 harmless chess pieces like worn shoes. Su Jie flipped through other chat records. They are all the issuance of some tasks. There are also some financial transactions. The chat with the master is not the key, the content in the group chat is the key. Su Jie opened the group chat, with links to some bounty missions pinned to the top. Kill a 7th-level extraordinary officer in the Nguyen City Extraordinary Association and accept the mission to obtain detailed information. To besiege the Qin clan, there are a total of 20 places in the group, and they will only be filled when they are filled. Quote. There are many bounty missions, including single-player missions and multiplayer missions. Su Jie showed a somewhat excited expression. According to some multi-person missions, I quietly ambush around the mission location, wait until the vampires who come to my door arrive, and then kill all the other vampires. Or see a single-player mission, wait and see, waiting for the Western vampire to come to your door. This all comes with autonomy of choice. His eyes changed, but he still calmed down his current ardent heart slightly. For now, I'll try my best to find some surrounding areas from the bounty missions, so that it will be convenient to come and go when the time comes. The bounty mission did give him some ideas. There are many other Western vampires in the group chat, and he can also chat with them privately. But Su Jie didn't intend to do that. He decided not to alert the enemy for the time being. Putting his arm around Lin Shiqing's shoulders, he smiled and said, "It seems we have gotten something incredible." As the situation gradually became clearer, Su Jie flipped through other documents in the notebook. Coincidentally, another document was discovered. The title of this document is, Map Distribution of Vampire Clan in Various Countries. For a long time, due to the mutual exclusion of the various blood clans, the specific location of the clan has also been a secret. Just like the famous dark forest theory in the 3-body problem, people are wary of each other, and the tribesmen will strictly keep the location of their tribe a secret. Open the map distribution of the Kingdom of China, and a huge map appears in front of you. At first glance, it looks like there are many marks drawn on the ordinary map of China. Su Jie's eyes narrowed, and the location of the Lin clan's clan had also been marked. The Kingdom of China spans tens of millions of square kilometers, and there are hundreds of vampire clans in such a vast area. These are only those whose specific locations have been identified, and there are many more whose specific locations have not yet been determined. In addition to the blood clan distribution in the country, there are also those from the Neon country and the Kimchi country. It's just that the Neon country is an island country and its area is not large to begin with. The Kimchi country's territory is even pitiful, and the number of blood clans in it is much smaller, less than 100 in total. In addition to these countries in the east, there are also some countries in the west. The value of this file was very high, so Su Jie closed it temporarily and started browsing other contents. There is also some information about werewolves and other extraordinary beings and special races. This information is very complicated, and after reading it, one word can be said, chaos. Su Jie decided to spend more time watching and understanding it later. He only briefly browsed through it to see what information there was. After more than an hour, he closed the notebook. Let's go, there will be plenty of time to see later. Su Jie said. Lin Shiqing nodded, and the two walked out of the room together. At the door, the security guard whose pinhole camera had been destroyed just now looked sideways. When he saw Su Jie and Lin Shiqing, he suddenly panicked and his eyes became erratic and unnatural. It was these two people who destroyed their own pinhole cameras. At least for a long time, he didn't have the courage to install another camera. The security guard felt lucky that the two people did not call the police, otherwise things would have gotten worse. Su Jie didn't call the police simply because he was too lazy to deal with the police, and he also knew that such situations were inevitable in such fast hotels. Even if you call the police, the matter may not be resolved. It also takes a lot of time and energy. In a wasteland outside the city, many ghostly figures appeared. The dust rose up, and after it subsided, 7 burly figures appeared. They are all wearing black clothes. They were extremely strong, and their clothes were stretched out more than once. The leader had a beard, and under the brim of his hat was a fierce face. Kosel, why do you insist on letting us come to Binhai? What are your intentions? The man named Dosa said, confusion showing on his face. Kessel's eyes flickered and he slowly explained. Have you heard, Alice, that little vampire girl is the heart of the Nora family. She is missing and seriously injured. I heard about it, but I don't know where the girl is. Dosa shrugged, if you let me know where she is, I will definitely catch her. Italy is the origin of the Blood Clan, where many powerful Blood Clan are located, and the Nora family is one of them. As the 13th generation vampire with the purest bloodline in the Nora family, Alice's bloodline is as pure as that of an ordinary vampire of the 11th generation. It is precisely because of this that Alice is very important. If Alice can really be caught, then we can use this to threaten the Nora family and make them pay a considerable ransom. A figure next to him couldn't help but agree. Koser smiled slightly and turned his palms. The rough palms were large and there were dots of silver on the back of his hands. A portrait appeared in his hand. Above the portrait is a cute little girl with a round face, red pupils, big and lively eyes, and a small upturned nose that makes her even more adorable. She was wearing a red dress, with a playful smile on her fair face. Undoubtedly a cute little loli. If you just look at the portrait, you will really have a good impression of this little girl. This is Alice. Although you have a portrait, how did you find her? Could it be that you searched for her in every city in the entire country of China? Dosa was still puzzled. You were really stupid. If I didn't have some definite evidence, would it be necessary to bring you all together? As for the information channels, haha, I can't tell you. There was a look of disdain on Kosel's face. My intelligence tells me that Alice is in Binhai. My goal is very clear. I will explore into the city, find the little girl early, capture her and take her back to Italy. Kosel is a werewolf, and he takes this operation very seriously. After all, it is a rare opportunity. Finding Alice is equivalent to getting a bargaining chip of huge value. Kosel is the elder of the Chell family, a werewolf family in France. In the past few years, the overall situation of werewolves was declining, and they were repeatedly attacked by vampires in the West. Forced by helplessness, many tribesmen chose to come to the east. Among them was Kosel. The people standing next to him were also werewolves, all werewolves of his own family. They wandered around the country of China, honing themselves and making themselves stronger. The cohesion of werewolves is much stronger than that of vampires, perhaps because wolves are gregarious animals, and werewolves are also affected by this, advocating living in groups and uniting with each other. I have got some clues. There are traces of Alice in Shun district of Binhai city. Kosel said slowly. He couldn't help but think of what happened during this time. A month ago, many people from the Nora family brought Alice to the east, seemingly here to find a secret realm of blood. The secret realm of blood is a wonderful place formed by thousands of fragments after the death of Cain. There is usually a blood pool in it, which contains the purest blood essence. By absorbing the essence and blood in the blood pool, one's own blood purity and realm can be greatly increased. Unfortunately, they encountered a blood family who was also looking for the secret realm of blood, and the two started a fierce battle. The blood family was too powerful and was caught off guard. Only Alice escaped under the desperate protection of her elders. The current situation is that Alice has been seriously injured, that is, now, we have to find her. After Kessel finished speaking, the werewolves around him already understood his intention. Don't worry, after capturing Alice this time, I will give 2 second-level Dark Knight crystals to whoever finds it, and for the rest, I will give 1 second-level Dark Knight crystal. If you agree, you will keep it. If not, if you agree, you can leave. The Dark Knight crystal is a must-have for werewolves to improve their strength. The Dark Knight crystal absorbs the moonlight, which increases the werewolf's strength particularly significantly. Things are rare and precious, and there are very few Dark Knight crystals. A high-quality Dark Knight crystal takes hundreds of years to successfully condense. Such a generous reward attracted all the werewolves present. What's more, he is from a werewolf family, so he will definitely not refuse this matter. All 6 werewolves stayed behind. Including Kosel, there are 7 werewolves in total, with uneven strength, with Kosel being the strongest. The realms of werewolves are easily divided, from low to high, they are level 1 to 9 werewolves. Each level is a big realm. Kessel is a 2nd level and 4th level werewolf. Most of the others are 2nd level werewolves, but they are a few levels lower than Koser. The weakest one is Hill, but he still has level 2 and level 1. Now that we are all here, we can plan our actions. Kosel said slowly with a cold look in his eyes. ... Whose little girl is this? Why was she left here? It's really strange. Isn't this a university town? Whose parents can be so careless and lose their children here? Someone, please call the police. You just asked others to call the police, why didn't you? I don't know this little girl. What if I take responsibility then? Amid the noisy discussion, Alice opened and closed her eyes tiredly. Gilligulu, I tried my best to say something, but the people around me couldn't understand it at all. What did this kid just say? I don't understand. What's the language? It's definitely not English. If it's English, I might still be able to understand it. Alice was a little desperate. Was she going to die in a foreign country like this? Why should I die like this? Very tired. What are the people around you saying? Why can't I understand a word? They didn't seem to understand the Italian I spoke either. Really, I wish I had learned Chinese earlier. Maybe we can still wait for rescue. Alice fell on the curb, her clothes were in tatters, her face was pale, and she was dying. But people around him didn't dare to call the police or call 120. They say it's none of your business, just leave it alone. What should I do if I have to rely on myself for this matter? Alice was walking on the road. She had been wandering in Binhai City for 2 weeks. I want to drink some blood, but I am afraid of being hunted by extraordinary beings. In addition, he was seriously injured. Although he pressed down a few people during the night and sucked some blood, his injuries continued to worsen. She is too weak. The team that attacked the family actually included a Viscount. It was extremely powerful. Fortunately, Grandpa Elder risked his life to block the heavy blow and used blood escape to bring her to Binhai. But in Binhai, she had no friends and couldn't understand the language. I don't have any money, I'm going to die here. Just when Alice was about to shed her little pearls, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Against the light, the figure shrouded her in shadow. Qingbao, this child is so pitiful. Let's help her. Su Jie looked at Alice in front of him, his expression changing. The humans around him didn't see it, but he did. This is actually a small vampire. He must be only 100 or 20 years old, still very immature. Her blood energy fluctuations have been extremely weak, and she is almost game over. Su Jie was curious and wanted to help this little vampire. Lin Shiqing also felt compassion. After all, for such a cute little girl, she couldn't say no. Judging from this appearance, he should be a Western vampire. The doll-like appearance is the face of the West. Although the face is more Western style, the aesthetics are universal. Alice, who is like a porcelain doll, looks so pitiful that it makes Lin Shi's heart melt. Su Jie hesitated for a moment, feeling that there shouldn't be any fraud involved. Alice looked extremely miserable, and her condition was extremely bad. The blood energy fluctuation is almost zero. Under such circumstances, he should not be able to harm himself. Su Jie wanted to pick her up, but Lin Shiqing on the side had already bent down and held Alice in her arms. At this time, no matter what the gap between the Eastern and Western vampires was, saving this poor little girl was the most important thing. Su Jie was careful because he was afraid of the story of the farmer and the snake. Narrowing her eyes, Lin Shiqing hugged her tightly into the car beside her. Just now they came out of the hotel and drove their car, and suddenly found a lot of people gathered here. He didn't plan to come over originally, but Su Jie noticed a vague blood energy fluctuation. This immediately interested him, so he and Lin Shiqing walked to the side to see what was going on. The crowd dispersed when they saw someone picking up the little girl and starting to help. As for what will happen to the little girl later, it is not something they need to consider. Lin Shiqing sat in the back seat, with Alice in her arms. What's your name? Where are you from? Why are you here? Lin Shiqing asked 3 questions from her soul. Alice blinked tiredly. Jilagulu. Su Jie frowned. This is not English. What language is it? Unexpectedly, Lin Shiqing actually replied, Kalawala. Alice's eyes lit up. This sister was actually able to understand her own words and respond. Lin Shiqing was secretly glad that she had learned Italian before when she was idle and bored, and it finally came in handy today. As Alice and Lin Shiqing started talking, Su Jie couldn't sit still. Hey, what are you talking about? Why can't I understand a word? Lin Shiqing smiled when she heard this. This is Italian. It's quite difficult to speak. It's hard for you to understand it. So what's going on now? This little girl is called Alice. She came to the east with her family, but was attacked by a group of very bad people. She managed to escape, but she was seriously injured and exhausted. She wanted to seek help, but she couldn't speak Chinese at all and could only wander on the street. Lin Shiqing replied based on the information she got from talking to Alice just now. Su Jie raised his eyebrows. She is still a loli on the run. To be fair, Su Jie was still doubtful about the little loli who appeared halfway, and felt that this matter was not simple. Lin Shiqing was emotional, so after seeing such a cute child, she relaxed her guard a little. From the outside, Alice is innocent, soft and cute, and doesn't seem very scheming. Now that the matter is over, let's take it back to the villa first. At home, Lin Shiqing's parents have returned home. Next to Lin Xiaohua and his wife, there was a young man who looked a little immature. Uncle, Aunt, your family is so beautiful, Lin Zikai said with a smile. Lin Zikai is the son of Lin Xiaohua's eldest brother Lin Tai. He is currently 125 years old. Because he was bored in his hometown, Lin Tai asked Lin Xiaohua to take him to the city to experience life. Lin Zikai is still in his infancy and spends 1/3 of a month sleeping to develop his body. He is about 1.7 meters tall and has a delicate appearance, with harmonious facial features and soft eyebrows. There is quite a feeling of a handsome young man. Lin Tai paid great attention to his only son and devoted himself to cultivating him. But after all, he is a 13th generation vampire and has not reached adulthood. His strength is really limited, only the 3rd level. Lin Xiaohua looked at his nephew and smiled slightly. There are many rooms in the villa. Just choose one. Why don't you come to the 2nd floor? Your aunt and I are the only people on the 2nd floor. You live next door. What can I do? Just tell me. As he spoke, Lin Xiaohua thought of the thick soundproof wall in his room. Nowadays, every room in the villa has thick soundproof walls. Not only because of privacy, the vampire's hearing is too strong, and the slightest movement will attract attention. The thick soundproof walls absorb noise from all directions, making the room much quieter. It turns out that having too strong hearing has both advantages and disadvantages. Correspondingly, too strong eyesight also has advantages and disadvantages. Although you can see far and clearly, when you walk on the street and look at the girls nearby, every pore on the girl's face is clearly visible. Even if she is a beautiful woman, her appearance will be reduced a lot. But if you are short-sighted and look at the hazy young ladies on the street, you will feel that those girls are very beautiful. Even if they are average in appearance, you will feel that they have a sense of atmosphere, and their appearance will be more than improved. This should be the so-called distance brings beauty, right? Lin Zikai nodded. I can live anywhere, it doesn't matter. Lin Xiaohua walked into the villa and looked at the empty house, feeling a little strange. Lin Shiqing and Su Jie are always going out recently, and they don't know where they go. I have to ask about it when I get back. Where's my cousin? Lin Zikai asked. She should have gone out. Lin Wen replied. Lin Zikai nodded. I heard from my dad that my cousin has found a boyfriend. I have a brother-in-law. Lin Xiaohua's expression froze. He looked at Lin Wen and said, so be it. Now Lin Xiaohua has basically recognized Su Jie. Since Lin Zikai asked this, he will give a positive reply. Wow, then I have to take a good look at what my brother-in-law looks like. Lin Zikai smiled, revealing two pointed tiger teeth. Lin Xiaohua imagined in his mind that although Su Jie became a vampire after being embraced for the first time and was not an orthodox vampire, in terms of appearance alone, he was still very good. He has a handsome appearance and a decent figure, but when it comes to his beautiful daughter, he is still ahead of her. After silently coming to this conclusion, Lin Xiaohua responded, your brother-in-law is quite handsome. You will know when they come back. Lin Zikai nodded, and then walked around the villa with excitement on his face. This was his first time leaving the clan. Lin Tai had been forcing him to train in order to quickly improve his strength. However, due to the shackles of blood purity, no matter how hard he tried, his strength would still be limited. As time passed, Lin Tai simply gave up and let Lin Zikai go. After all, there is no hope of his son becoming a dragon, so it is better to make him happy. At this time, on the Ring Expressway, Su Jie was driving at a speed of 180 miles. This speed was already extremely fast for the surrounding cars. The highway speed limit was 120 miles per hour, and he exceeded it by half. Although it was very fast, under Su Jie's meticulous control, there would be no problems. As for the car crash, it doesn't exist at all. Even if there is an emergency and you are about to hit a car, you can directly activate the time stop skill to stop time and eliminate the possibility of a car accident. After being driven by Lin Shiqing for several car rides, Su Jie also developed a strong interest in drag racing. Listening to the howling wind outside the car, he felt like he was moving fast, which was indeed a relief. On the second row of seats behind her, Lin Shiqing was still communicating with Alice. Missy Missy, there are so many flowers. Dimmy Dimmy, Slukandi. Su Jie was speechless. He was just like a deaf person who could hear sounds, unable to understand their words. Alice just said that she is from a family in Italy, the Nola family. She came to China to find a secret realm of blood. There was residual cane essence and blood in the secret realm of blood. Although it was relatively thin, it was the essence and blood of the ancestor of blood. Once absorbed, it could be greatly improved. Quote, Lin Shiqing got a lot of information from Alice's mouth. Alice chose to believe these two strangers without even thinking about them. This is related to her lack of social experience, but also because her experience is too shallow and naive, and she will not consider too many issues at all. These two brothers and sisters saved him, so he should explain everything to them. Su Jie also knew something about the secret realm of blood, but he never paid attention to it. Legend has it that a long time ago, many gods started a duel, and the gods fell. After Cain died, his body turned into countless fragments and fell all over the blue star. There are some spiritual fragments that have turned into countless secret realms of blood, waiting for people to discover them. Only when the moon is full, the secret realm of blood will be opened. Entering it, you can absorb the essence and blood to achieve the effect of strengthening yourself. However, the secret realm of blood is really difficult to discover. Without detailed information, it would be extremely difficult to find it. With systematic help, Su Jie has always wanted to fish and show off, and just stay humble and develop. There is no need to take risks and embarrass himself. But this little loli said that looking for the secret realm of blood is an opportunity. Seeing how silly this little loli was, I thought I should give her something to eat, so I took care of her. The corners of Su Jie's mouth turned up slightly. I didn't expect that I would encounter such a lucky thing just walking on the street. Sister, what is that brother smiling about? He looks naughty. Alice looked at the rearview mirror in the car and accidentally noticed Su Jie's evil smile, and said with some fear. Alice said it in Italian, so Su Jie didn't notice it when she said it, and still maintained a sense of déjà vu as the crooked-mouthed Dragon King. A picture had already formed in his mind. Through the secret realm of blood, his strength soared and he directly became a viscount. From then on, he can stand at the pinnacle of the Lin clan. When the time comes, not only will no one stop or laugh at him and Lin Shiqing, but those clan members who were secretly discussing it will be severely slapped in the face. What a cool plot. The Viscount must be an extremely powerful being, right? Su-jae thought in his mind. According to what Lin Shiqing told him before, some of the ancestral-level elders in the family were the Viscounts. The 8th and 9th generation vampires are in this realm. Su-jae, why are you laughing there? Lin Shiqing was speechless when she saw this. Su-jae felt like he suddenly woke up from his dream. Hearing Lin Shiqing's words, he was a little dazed. The way you smiled crookedly just now scared Alice. Su-jae raised his eyebrows and looked in the rearview mirror. Alice's face was tense and she looked at him warily. This brother seems to have bad intentions, Alice said in a soft voice as she held Lin Shiqing tightly. What did she say? Qingbao, please translate for me. Su-jae was almost driven crazy by the language barrier. Under such circumstances, even if he was scolded, he probably wouldn't know it at all. Alice said, you seem to have bad thoughts. Lin Shiqing hesitated. What were you thinking just now? Pretty boy Su-jae was speechless. W plus WBW at. I thought this little kid was easy to trick, but I didn't expect that he thought too simply. I just thought about it. If I can use her to find the secret realm of blood, it might be of great help to improve my strength. What do you think? The secret realm of blood can indeed greatly improve the strength, but having said that, your expression just now was indeed a bit scary. Lin Shiqing touched Alice's little head. Out of humanitarianism, I decided to take care of Alice. After all, she is still just a child. Still just a kid. This is true. He's just a kid over 100 years old. Su-jae cursed secretly. The age of the vampires is really difficult to describe. Multiply the human age by 10 to get the corresponding age of the vampires. In this conversion, Alice is equivalent to a child in her teens. Are there any primary school students? It would really scare a child over 100 years old to death if he was heard. Su-jae said jokingly to Lin Shiqing. There's nothing we can do about it. The vampire clan's development is slow. Lin Shiqing shrugged. Alice's big eyes rolled around, indicating that I couldn't understand anything and it was so uncomfortable. Lin Shiqing had a very harmonious conversation with Alice, and she learned a lot of relevant information along the way. That is to say, you were seen by a group of powerful vampires in Shilin Mountain and then attacked, right? Yes, over there in Shilin Mountain, according to what my elder uncle said, there is a secret realm. Originally, they wanted me to go in and absorb the blood essence. In that case, I can at least increase the purity of my bloodline by 1 to 2 generations, and the upper limit of my strength will be much higher. Alice nodded. Although Alice is a little dull, she still knows a lot about realms and blood purity. This is due to her family's upbringing since she was a child, and she has learned a lot of relevant knowledge. Su-jae suddenly spoke in front. Qingbao, have you asked for the location of the secret realm of blood? It should be in Shilin Mountain. Lin Shiqing finished answering Su-jae's question and looked at Alice. The secret realm of blood is in Shilin Mountain, right? Yes, but we definitely can't go. Alice waved her hands quickly. Why? Lin Shiqing asked. Think about it, there are so many powerful vampires there. I think those enemies are heading for the secret realm of blood, have figured out the whereabouts of my uncles and grandfathers, and ambushed us there. It was they who came out from the darkness and killed many uncles and grandfathers. Quote. Alice's mood was low and her voice had a cry. If you go there, something will definitely happen. There are at least 4 or 5 viscounts there, and even a count. Lin Shiqing shrank her neck. Is it so outrageous? Alice just said that there are 4 or 5 viscounts and even an earl occupying Shilin Mountain. You'd better not think about the secret realm of blood. Going there is simply to die. Lin Shiqing changed. Return to Chinese and say to Su-jae. Su-jae was stunned when he heard this. Feeling like vomiting blood. Such a powerful fighting force. I originally thought of picking up the slack, but now it seems that it has really come to naught. Just when he was secretly feeling sad, Alice spoke again. But sister, I have to tell you some good news. What good news? Lin Shiqing asked curiously. Only I know about the secret realm of blood. Alice said with pride. If you don't know the specific location and how to open it, the bad guys will never be able to find it. Think about it, Shilin Mountain is so big. Even if they keep looking, they will only have a chance to find it on the night of the full moon. It is almost impossible to find such a small secret entrance in a few hours. Quote. Alice seemed to have thought of something and continued. I think those bad guys originally wanted to wait for me and the elders of my family to open the secret realm before rushing out. But what I didn't expect was that the elders of my family discovered the bad guys midway, and a fierce battle broke out. Quote. The scene of the battle appeared in Alice's mind, with blood soaring into the sky and rivers of blood. Her little face tensed up again, full of sadness. Lin Shiqing felt deep sympathy for Alice, and she hugged Alice tightly. Although days of running around had made this petite little loli look unkempt, she actually still had a faint fragrance on her body. The fragrance was sweet and very pleasing. Alice, you don't have to be sad. When you get home, I will give you a good bath and then put on new clothes. You can drink some blood and have a good sleep. Everything will be fine. Lin Shiqing was gentle. Said. Thank you, sister. Sister, you are the best. Alice was particularly touched and sniffed a few times, until her little pearls were about to flow out. Alice hugged Lin Shiqing tightly. At this moment, Lin Shiqing was the savior in her eyes. In her young mind, this sister has become her whole world. She had never experienced such a thing when she was young. She was so scared. In Lin Shiqing's arms, Alice slowly fell asleep. Lin Shiqing patted Su Jie on the shoulder and said, there is good news. Although there are many powerful vampires in Shilin Mountain, they don't know the specific location of the secret realm. Only Alice knows about it at the moment. Only this little loli knows. Su Jie's eyes changed and he spoke softly. Then you mean, there is still a chance? There should be, but with so many powerful vampires near Shilin Mountain, the risk factor is still very high, especially if there is an existence-like account, which is 2 realms higher than you. All you need is an aura, and you won't be able to move at all. In the eyes of the Count, you are just an ant. Our family doesn't even have the Earl level yet, Lin Shiqing said slowly. There was no need to worry about waking up Alice and letting her know that these 2 brothers and sisters had ulterior motives. The language barrier turned out to be an advantage. Su Jie thought for a moment and then said, this matter should be discussed in the long term. Driving back to the villa, Su Jie felt a very fresh blood energy fluctuation in the house as soon as he arrived at the door. If it were Lin Xiaohua and Lin Wen, their blood energy fluctuations would be very familiar to Su Jie. But this new blood energy fluctuation is completely alien. A new vampire has arrived. Su Jie turned to look at Lin Shiqing, and she also noticed this situation. A new vampire has arrived. I feel that the aura is a bit familiar, but the strength is not strong. He should only look like the last generation of the 3rd level vampire. Lin Shiqing said slowly. Since it was your parents who brought us here, they shouldn't be uninvited guests. Let's go, get out of the car and take a look at the situation. Su Jie and Lin Shiqing got out of the car, and Alice was temporarily put on the car. When I walked to the door, I saw 3 figures standing under the shady shed in the atrium of the villa. Lin Xiaohua and his wife, and a young boy. Cousin, Lin Zikai shouted happily. Su Jie suddenly realized that they were relatives. In this way, this is also his younger brother. He married Lin Shiqing, and Lin Shiqing's cousin was also a family member to him. Although they have never met, they are related to each other. Xiao Kai, why are you here? Lin Shiqing was also surprised. Lin Shiqing had known this younger brother since she was a child wearing crotchless pants. However, at that time, Lin Shiqing was 60 years older than Lin Zikai, so there was still a big mental gap between the two. And generally girls develop and mature earlier. When Lin Zikai was crying, Lin Shiqing could already write with graceful handwriting. Whenever Lin Zikai asked her why, Lin Shiqing found him annoying. Even so, Lin Zikai, who was disliked by his cousin, still ran after Lin Shiqing, with snot in his nose, crying when he was wronged, and even being treated cruelly by Lin Shiqing. Lin Shiqing was surprised that the slug he hadn't seen for so many years turned out to be a handsome young man. How time flies. Cousin, I came here with my uncle and aunt. I was too bored in the clan, so I came here to see you. Lin Zikai smiled, showing his fangs again. That's good. Let's stay here for a few more days. Lin Shiqing patted Lin Zikai's head. Is that, brother-in-law? Lin Zikai asked, looking at Su Jie. Lin Shiqing was stunned for a moment, then nodded. Of course, how about it, your brother-in-law is handsome. He is quite handsome, but I don't know what he is like. Lin Zikai said. He is quite a nice person. Lin Shiqing, who was in a passionate relationship with Su Jie, naturally helped him speak. Cousin, I think you have to find a good person when looking for a partner. Appearance is actually not that important. Lin Zikai said clearly. The corner of Lin Shiqing's mouth twitched. Children nowadays are really precocious. Even before her hair has even grown, she starts to worry about finding a partner. Su Jie came over and said hello to everyone. Hello, brother-in-law, my name is Lin Zikai. Lin Zikai stretched out his hand and made a handshake. Just like a little adult. Su Jie smiled when he saw this and shook hands with him. Brother-in-law, you have to be nice to my cousin, otherwise I will definitely not be able to spare you. That's for sure, Su Jie said in response. What a big kid. After meeting with Lin Zikai and saying hello to Lin Xiaohua and his wife, Su Jie mentioned Alice's matter. You mean, you met a seriously injured little girl from the Western blood race in the downtown area? Lin Xiaohua said in disbelief. Yes, I actually found it unbelievable at first. After all, such a small vampire usually lives under the protection of the family, how could it come to Binhai inexplicably? Su Jie expressed his original doubts. Then he repeated what Alice said later. Lin Xiaohua's brows furrowed even more tightly. Of course he also knew the existence of the secret realm of blood and how beneficial it was. Take me to meet that little girl. Lin Xiaohua couldn't wait to walk at the front, followed by everyone. Lin Zikai seemed a little excited. As for why, when Su Jie introduced her just now, he described Alice's appearance. After learning that she was a petite and cute lowly girl, Lin Zikai was immediately happy. Originally, when he came here, there was no one of his own age to play with, and Lin Zikai felt very depressed. This playmate dropped from the sky just in time. Lin Shiqing is 60 years older than him. With such a big gap, it is difficult for Lin Zikai and Lin Shiqing to play together. Walking to the car, Lin Xiaohua looked at Alice, who was still sleeping in the back seat, and couldn't help but ask, judging from the appearance, it is indeed not something that an ordinary family can cultivate. Even in her sleep, Alice's whole body still revealed an aristocratic temperament. This kind of temperament can only be cultivated over a long period of time, and cannot be cultivated in a moment. She said that she is a descendant of the Nola family in the Italian blood family. She also said that the purity of her blood has reached the level of the 11th generation of ordinary blood families. Lin Shiqing said at the side. It's incredible. A 13th generation vampire can actually have such high blood purity. Lin Xiaohua narrowed his eyes. This is a huge opportunity. We must seize it. Lin Shiqing still has a kind heart. She doesn't really want to take advantage of such a young girl. Alice had a childlike nature and was not defensive towards strangers, and she told all about her situation. In such a sincere relationship, Lin Shiqing felt pity. As of now, let's bring her into the house for some treatment. Su Jie said, she is not very strong, so we can still control her easily. Lin Wen stepped forward and hugged Alice, and the group of people walked towards the house. Lin Zikai patted Su Jie on the back. Brother-in-law, this little girl is so beautiful. Lin Zikai's eyes shone with excitement. The excitement in Lin Zikai's eyes made Su Jie somewhat speechless. This kid feels like a humanoid teddy. I'm not mature at all, I just think about finding a girlfriend every day. Ahem, I forgot who said just now that you can't just look at appearance when looking for a partner. Su Jie said in a low voice. Lin Zikai blushed. If you are good-looking, you must be eye-catching. If you stand in front of two good-looking and bad-looking people, you must choose the good-looking one. At a young age, I learned to be glib. Not a famous large-scale double-standard scene. Okay, I suggest you do something now. Su Jie paused. What's going on? Lin Zikai looked confused. You should learn Italian well from now on. Alice doesn't speak Chinese. If you don't speak Italian, you won't be able to communicate with her at all. Su Jie was persuasive. Fighting spirit immediately appeared in Lin Zikai's eyes. Okay, brother-in-law, I'll go learn it right now. Lin Zikai was in a hurry, picked up the iPad and started learning Italian. After all, he is a vampire, and his learning ability is quite online. Therefore, with dedicated study, Lin Zikai made rapid progress. Su Jie couldn't help but sigh when he saw this. The best motivation for learning is desire. There are many desires, including desire for the opposite gender, desire for money, desire for material things, etc. With desire as the driving force, you will be very motivated to learn. Lin Xiaohua was a little confused when he saw Lin Zikai running to the side holding a tablet. He didn't know what he was looking at. But he didn't take too much care. In this day and age, children all like to play with electronic products, which is normal. However, he is not that dependent on electronic products. Xiao Kai, play less, read more, and study. Your dad asked me to supervise your study. Lin Xiaohua warned. I know, uncle, don't worry. Lin Zikai quickly agreed. Lin Shiqing had already carried Alice to the room next to her and Su Jie. This room has always been empty and is more suitable for Alice to live in. Opposite these two rooms are the rooms of Yi Wei and Zhou Xueming. It was daytime, and Yi Wei went to the company to do something. Because the matter was more important, Zhou Xueming also went with him. The matter of our first embrace has been completely decided, and it will be in the middle of this month, on the 15th. Lin Shiqing put Alice on the bed. It's better to feed her some blood now. Judging from her appearance, it seems that she hasn't had enough blood for a long time. Lin Shiqing said. Lin Xiaohua shook his head. No, there is no use in feeding blood now. Get out of the way. I have to heal her injuries first. Lin Xiaohua said rationally. Then he used the surging blood energy in his body to heal the hideous wound on Alice's back. After all, he was a baron, and his blood energy was not only abundant, but also of high quality. Under his healing, Alice's condition gradually improved. 10 minutes passed, and Alice's wounds had been completely healed. Lin Xiaohua's face looked a little pale. Although the treatment just didn't last long, it actually consumed nearly half of his blood energy. The key is that Alice's injuries were indeed too serious. Okay, I'm going to take a rest now, and you two women can take care of her. It's more convenient for you. Take the opportunity to clean her body and change into clean clothes. Quote. Lin Xiaohua said slowly. Unexpectedly, this sentence was heard by Lin Zikai outside the door. Lin Zikai, who had been concentrating on learning Italian, was no longer sleepy immediately. What? Wash and change this little girl. Let me. Seeing Lin Zikai's enthusiasm, Su Jie walked to him speechlessly. Hurry up and learn. What bad ideas are you thinking about all day long? Lin Zikai shrank his neck, then nodded. I know brother-in-law. He's not bad in nature, just a little arrogant. Then Lin Zikai began to study like crazy. The door of Alice's room was closed, and Su Jie chatted with his father-in-law about recent events on the sofa in the living room outside. Why do you and Zhao King always go to school? Our family is not short of money, so why do you go to school? Such domineering remarks left Su Jie speechless. He didn't want to reveal anything about the Western Vampire and the Western Vampire's notebook. After thinking for a while, he said, it's just people I know a little bit from school. Chatting with them or something like that. Staying at home every day is a bit boring. Lin Xiaohua nodded. It's not that I won't let you go out, it's just that the recent Binhai is really not peaceful. Lin Xiaohua said, you don't know, the Zhou family is also a relatively powerful blood family in our country. His family has a company right here, Marina. Then 2 weeks ago, several Western vampires came in and not only killed the blood servants in charge, but also killed several clan members. Quote. Really? Su Jie said in surprise. At the same time, he secretly thought, could it be the 3 Western vampires he killed? You really can't tell. It seems that he is also removing harm for the people. Yes, so I am very worried about the safety of you and Zhao King. In my opinion, you should try to stay at home as much as possible for the time being. If you are really depressed and panicked, just walk around and don't go too far. What do you think? I understand. Su Jie nodded. How have you been practicing recently? Did you make any progress after drinking the last potion? Lin Xiaohua asked again. It's not bad. It's just that the purity of my bloodline has increased, and my strength has increased a bit. I'm now the last of the second-level vampires. Su Jie replied. Lin Xiaohua would never have imagined that the Su Jie in front of him was a sixth-form man who said he was the second level of the last vampire, but in fact he had already reached the Baron level. Even Lin Xiaohua might not be able to defeat him now. Su Jie didn't want his strength to be exposed so quickly, so he had to wait a little longer. Although he really wanted to tell Lin Xiaohua that he was no longer what he used to be. But it is true that Su Jie has not yet discussed with Lin Xiqing how to explain it and how to explain it clearly. There is no need to be anxious about this, after all, there is a long way to go. Not bad, not bad. It has only been 2 months since I was first embraced, and you have already reached such a state. It seems that you still have talent, Lin Xiaohua said with satisfaction. For a blood servant who has just been embraced for the first time, being able to become the last generation of the second-level blood clan in 2 months is already considered the best among the best. Not to mention that Lin Xiqing, the first supporter of the 13 generations of vampires, was inherently deficient. Jilagwala, Jilagulu. In the corner, Lin Zikai looked attentively and muttered words that he couldn't understand at all. This made Lin Xiaohua confused. Could it be that my nephew has become stupid while playing games? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.